Nathan Rourke, no doubt, he loves the bright lights. He loves the big games. Let's see what he does in his first playoff game.
Reigning MOP Zach Collaros, 32-4. As a starter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, this guy has been nothing but magic.
Maybe it's Rourke's first final. How about that?
The Butler did do it. Last week, James Butler did do it. Last week, the talk was about the Calgary running game. Not so much. It was about this man, James Butler, as he ran for 95 yards.
The West nominee for Most Outstanding Rookie, Dalton Schoen, finished the 2022 season leading the league in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns 16. He is set to make his playoff debut after a phenomenal season for the Bombers, to say the least. Kate Burnett back alongside David Sanchez, Matt Donegan, Milt Stiegel, and we are some kind of fired up for this Western final. We got one team through, two more to go here. And when we take a look at storylines, Ches, there's no doubt coming into this, it has been just both quarterbacks, front and center. Zach Collaros, rightly so, taking on the Canadian sensation of Nathan Rourke. But there are plenty more to go along with this game.
Well, yeah, and you said the name, and it's Dalton Schoen, and what a year he's had. And I think this Lions defense understands that they go together. Dalton and Zach, a lot of what Dalton Schoen does and why he's been just so difficult for anybody to stop. Look, he's been doing this guy since the beginning of the season. It's not new, and nobody can stop him. And what we see is a lot of it comes off scramble and Zach buying time. So they have a great rapport, and I know for a fact that the key to this defense is going to be to find ways to not let Zach get outside. It's fine that he scrambles and buys time, but he can't get outside, because that's where he makes all these plays to Dalton Schoen. These DBs are going to have to find ways. They're quick. Sales and TJ Lee, they got to find ways to stay with him down the field and use their quickness to negate the size of Dalton Schoen.
I think first order of business for the BC Lions is stop the run game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's been their calling card in their run of Grey Cups and dominating the line of scrimmage. And to me, that's where it starts. And because if you don't, then Zach Collaros can be able to play action, get on the edge, and there's going to be one-on-one opportunities, and he'll bite you, and he will hurt you in a heartbeat if they establish that line of scrimmage. And in these type of conditions, Milt, what type of back do you need?
BWB.
That's right, and I think they got one, right? And but you can say that for the BC Lions as well with James Butler, right? Because and that's going to be important how he is bounced back from his slight injury last week, you know, and obviously the way Nathan Rourke handles the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense, people in his face, and whether or not he's going to be able to be mobile himself.
All three facets of the game have to be on point for whichever team wins. And we talk about two of the better returners in the league right now. You look at Janarian Grant, and he had 2 returns for touchdowns against these BC Lions. A third one called back. But Terry Williams on the other side, he had a game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers where he went for over 340 yards in return. So both of these guys can get at it. You have to cover these guys with your best ability. Otherwise, they could have game-breaking plays. So I'm looking at those 2 great return guys.
Opening kickoff at BC. Week 5, 97 yards. Janarian Grant to the house. By the time the BC Lions looked up, it was 21-0 after the first quarter.
And with this weather, that field position is going to be crucial. It's going to be crucial. You know, it's going to be hard to methodically work your way down the field. You know, it's just, you're not going to have 80, 90 yards. Just difficult in this type of weather. So that field position is going to be crucial.
Well, and Nathan Rourke said it in his media conference yesterday, too. The foot was bothering him at the end of last week's Western semifinal. You could tell. He was actually limping off the field when he had his final snap there. But you got to think, too, being outside, being in the cold, being in that stadium where they've lost 2 games since the 2018 Banjo Bowl, this is a completely different animal today, isn't it, Milt?
It's like no other. But I'll tell you a story that Lucky Whitehead told me about how focused Nathan Rourke. And he said last week when they were all in the locker room, of course, Lucky wasn't playing. Everyone's blasting music and all this is going on. And what Nathan Rourke is doing, he's actually sitting on the ground with his feet up in the air reading his Barack Obama book. That's how focused, how much tunnel vision he has. Because there's a lot of distractions going on. The fans, the cold weather, no one is expecting him to win. But I guarantee you he's going to do everything he can. He's going to have that tunnel vision and that focus.
And to a man coming out of the BC Lions camp prior to this football game is they're all saying that pressure's all on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yep,
you know,
yep,
15-3, hosting, you know, looking for a three-peat. You know, their whole mindset is, hey, we're just going to go out there and play football. And all the pressure's on the Bombers in order to maintain. And you know what they say, too, guys? They say in order to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. And that's exactly what they have to do.
I think they're going to have to be really aggressive as well. I think, to your point, you know, when the pressure's on the champs and the way BC enters this game, I think they got to be really aggressive defensively and you know, blitz, pressure, and then, again, offensively, take your shots. Because that is, if you look at ways BC can win, the big plays.
They got the horses, too.
Absolutely. They have the horses to take the shots down the field and be aggressive. And like you said, you've talked to guys, I talked to guys, and to a man, everybody says the same thing.
Yep.
We got nothing to lose. We're going to let it fly. They're confident, but they won't let it fly.
And we're going to start. We'll start using that word. Like if they do make it to the Grey Cup, if the Bombers can win one more game, we got to start using the word dynasty if they're able to win it. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, with more on this game, let's get you to IG Field and join our Glenn Suter.
Well, thanks, Kate. Yeah, you guys just talked about Zach Collaros and how dangerous he can be when he gets outside the pocket. One of the reasons for that is because his receiving core is probably the best core in the league, understanding the scramble rules. Very simple. If you have a deep route as a receiver, the scramble rules are you come back to the quarterback when he spills the pocket. If you have a shallow or intermediate route, you go deep. The Winnipeg Blue Bomber receiving core are the best in the league at getting it done. Let me show you some examples of that right now. Zach Collaros obviously can throw from the pocket. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards and 37 touchdowns. But when he gets outside, his receivers will react. There's no hesitation. He rolls out. Dalton Schoen's initial route here was a dig. He redirects to the open area, and Zach Collaros finds him out on the edge, scrambling with the football. Let's take another look. This is going to be a corner route by Rasheed Bailey. That's his initial call in the huddle. But he sees Zach take off, spill the pocket, and redirects twice to find the open area without hesitation. One more example. Let's go back to Dalton Schoen, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League. Zach bails the pocket. A seam route turns into a corner route, and Dalton Schoen catches this touchdown. Top two receivers in the league, two tremendous quarterbacks. Zach Collaros most dangerous when he's outside the pocket. Kate?
On the defensive side, just how good has this Bombers defense been once again? Well, here it is, the great blue wall. Points allowed. Current rank, first. Opponent offensive points, first. Opponent touchdowns, first. And opponent offensive TDs, first. And that, by the way, the 20.6 and the 19.2 your average per game. With Willie Jefferson, here's Farhan Lalji.
Willie, you're used to this Western Final, a little bit of snow. Just how comfortable are all of you and your teammates in this environment?
Man, very comfortable, man. This is what we wanted. Got our beautiful fans in this beautiful stadium, beautiful atmosphere. It's not cold enough.
I know that there's been so much talk about Nathan Rourke and whether the Lions can protect him. How important is it that you affect him, not just with pressure, but also your ability to bat down passes?
Oh, very, very important. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as we can get to him, make him uneasy, make him uneasy, get him off his spot, make him move around more than he wants to, get his eyes off his initial target quick, you know what I'm saying, so we can get to him, make it easy for our DBs. We'll have a good day.
Thanks for this.
Thank you. Hey, Mama!
Not cold enough from Willie Jefferson. The Bombers and the Lions meeting the Western Final for the first time since 1985. We got more pregame coming up right after this. Nathan Rourke Became the first Canadian QB to lead a team to the playoff win since 1980. He has been the story of the CFL season, but today, no doubt, his biggest challenge, Zach Collaros and the Bombers, who are coming off yet another dominant season, 2 wins away from being put into that dynasty conversation. Collaros will be starting in his 6th career playoff game today. His record coming in, 4-1. It is the Blue Bombers, it is the Lions for a trip to the Grey Cup to meet with the Toronto Argos. But let us go now to your key matchups of the game, David Sanchez.
Yeah, for me, it's 2 quick ones. It's the pressure on Zach and making sure that pressure comes from the outside, not allowing him to get outside. If he wants to step up, you step up in the middle of the defense. That's where they want him to go. And then it's Dalton Schoen and handling these halfbacks, starting with Sales and TJ Lee, making Dalton Schoen stay on top of him, make him break and run intermediate routes, and try to use their speed to their quickness to break a route to contain him. He's been unstoppable. They have to find a way to get to him.
In the controlled climate last week of BC Place, I was watching the interior play and the offensive line of the BC Lions. They got a little, I think, fortification this week. Got Figs back at left tackle. Yep. Broxton goes back to left guard, but I'm still got my eyes on Perkins, our right tackle, and what Jackson, Jeffcoat, and Willie Jefferson can do to him, and take advantage of it in these type of conditions. So that's a big concern of mine. Nate found a way to do it last week, and he can do it this week.
Well, for me, and you spoke of one of the receivers, David Schoen. Yep. Looking at both of these receiving cores, these are, and it's not an argument, these are the 2 best receiving cores in the CFL. You look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they had the most receiving touchdowns, and the BC Lions had the most receiving yards. So, and they don't directly go against each other, but I guarantee you these guys, they want to outplay each other. Of course, the ultimate goal is to win the game, but these guys want to outplay each other. We had the number 1 and the number 2 receiver in Schoen and Rhymes, so that's the matchup I'm looking at.
Coach LaPolice, you saw both these teams this season. Who is your key matchup for this one?
Yeah, you know, when I watched the games this week, I tried to watch the previous game. I'll tell you what, Zach Collaros had a field day. 77% completion, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had 5 explosive pass plays. What I'm interested in, how does BC stop the run playing man, but also not get exposed against Zach Collaros? And I guess the last thing I would say, think of the Western Final 1 year ago. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers had a bunch of giveaways and then gave the ball back to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saskatchewan couldn't capitalize. If they do that today, BC Lions going to walk out of here as winners.
All right, in terms of weather, we're looking at these shots of Winnipeg right now, and this is the way we expect CFL football to be played when it comes to the postseason. But what factor, who gets the advantage of this one, especially knowing the BC Lions play indoors?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe it was Michael Shea said it. I chuckled because he said that in a game like this, weather doesn't affect. Everyone just tunes out the weather. I call BS to that. I've been, you know, some guys were affected by this. I give a quick story to a Grey Cup in Winnipeg in 2006. A bunch of our receivers, young guys, were standing around the heater, you know, shaking in the second quarter of a Grey Cup. I knew we were in trouble. You have to keep moving. That's what Zach said. He said, I'm going to keep on moving, and that's what you have to do. You can't let the weather impact you. You just got to keep moving. As guys who have been in it can handle it better.
Yes, once you get in front of the heaters, you're done. Yeah. Because you can't get away from them. And, yeah, so to answer your question, Kate, no question it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when it comes to handling conditions like that. That's what they practice in every day. That's what they thrive for. They're mentally, they think it's going to advantage. They're going to try to use that. This game, you cannot go east and west on the football field. You got to go north and south in these type of football games, and the subtle movements for quick guys with great feet that have great balance. And to me, as running backs, and that's Nick Dembski, and it's downhill type of running, and whoever can do that best, Milt is going to win this football game. 14
years I played in Winnipeg, and I experienced that, and I hated every minute of it. Those Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they can say all they want. They don't want to be playing in that. It's to no one's advantage. Why aren't we in Vancouver and say, no, I'm just joking, but it's difficult for everyone. I don't care if you practice in it all week long or if you don't, and Paul knows about it. It doesn't matter. It's difficult for each and every player on that team. This is where your mental toughness comes into play. Your mental toughness. Are you going to be able to go out there and say, okay, I'm going to get hit. It's going to be cold. It's going to be difficult, but you got to find a way to fight through it. But advantage to no one.
By the way, how warm and toasty is it in this studio right now? It's so nice and warm. Sorry, Farhan. We got the BC Lions. We got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from IG Field for the Western Final. Coming up next on TSN.
Thank you, Kate. And we've got got some perfect winter football weather at IG Field in Winnipeg. A little bit of snow setting the stage for the West Final between the Bombers and the Lions. The BC Lions with an opportunity to take out the champs and write another chapter in the story of Nathan Rourke's season. On the other side, the Bombers looking to defend their title yet again. Another shot at that here today.
Two great quarterbacks in this game. Back in his college days, they called Nathan Rourke the Canadian Cannon. We've called him Kid Canada. When the BC Lions started the season, he had him off to an 8-1 start. In the semifinal, threw for over 300 yards in his first playoff win. He'll go toe-to-toe with the front runner for the MOP again this year in Zach Collaros, who has won every playoff game he's played as the Bombers starting quarterback.
Both of these guys have had absolutely remarkable seasons. They've got great weapons on the ground and obviously in the air as well. And boy, we've been waiting for this West Final since that West Semi ended, and I am so fired up right now, Suits. Let's go. Great crowd at IG Field, locked and loaded. A little bit of snow accumulating, and Toronto awaits the winner in Regina. We are underway at IG Field, taken cleanly, and they'll flip it back to Janarian Grant. Grant, just inside his own 30, makes one man miss, takes it back out to about the 35, and that is where the Bombers will officially start. They won the toss, they took the ball, and they'll give it to this guy to get us going.
30-4 since arriving with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, playing for this great Bomber franchise in its history. Back in 2019, back-to-back Grey Cup championships, and the reigning MOP, who is again a finalist this year, coming out of the West.
I'd go as far as saying the front runner, to be honest with you. They start on their own 36. They'll give it to Dembski to get things going. Dembski up and over a defender, taken down after a short gain. That's TJ Lee there to try to deny this Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense.
Up front, Stanley Bryant is the only player in CFL history with 5 divisional finalist nominations. He's again the finalist for outstanding lineman coming out of the West Division. They get Rashid Bailey into the lineup. He was a game day decision. There is your leader, rookie Dalton Schoen. No longer a rookie, 18 games under his belt, led all receivers this season.
And absolutely torched the BC Lions along the way. Collaros down the field looking for Dembski, drops it in there, he's got it. Dembski will be taken out just inside the 35, and a big strike early for the Bombers.
Going to be a matchup I look at all afternoon. Is going to be Dalton Schoen and Nick Dembski inside against the two halfbacks for the BC Lions. They're veterans in TJ Lee and Marcus Sales, and this time early on in this one, drive number 1, Dembski gets in behind the veteran TJ Lee.
Collaros can't do it any better than that. 40 yards to Dembski, and just like that, the home side in business early in this game. This time they'll tuck it into the belly of Brady Oliveira, pushing ahead. Pretty good pickup on first down. Takes it inside the 25 to a roar from the crowd here in Winnipeg. Look now at the BC defense.
Matthew Betts had a sack, a couple of knockdowns, and 3 defensive tackles in the West Semi against the Calgary Stampeders. Huge game in the playoff game for him. Ben Hladek led all BC Lions in tackles in that playoff game. He'll play in the middle. Going to have to stop Oliveira, and there are the two halfbacks. I think this is a key matchup. I heard Davis Sanchez talk about it on the panel before the game. TJ Lee and Marcus Sales against Dembski and Dalton Schoen.
2nd and 2. Back to Oliveira again, pushing ahead, turning his legs. Needed to get to the 21 for the first down, and he's right around it. All over it. And it looks like they are going to have enough. And they will. There's the first down. As Mike O'Shea trying to take his team back to another Grey Cup.
Yeah, really didn't want to go too far and get too far ahead of himself, did he, in our Zoom call this week when he talked about the possibility of three-peat and what that might mean after a 15-win season, record-breaking year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He said, one step at a time. He wasn't looking ahead of this game.
24-2 at home regular season and playoffs over their last 26. Collaros almost tracked down from behind, brings it back in, and picks up positive yardage on first down. Looked like it was Matthew Betts who was right on his back.
Yeah, but I see early on that the Lions are going to try and keep him in the pocket. They're going to start wide, those defensive ends, and if he's going to escape up into the middle, not outside to where he can be real dangerous with those scramble rules, as we talked about in the pregame show.
Does some real damage out on the run, especially out to his right. That's his wide side right now. He's got Ellingson and Wolotarski to that side of the field. Dembski and Schoen in the slot to his left. Kolaris on a 2nd and 9 over the middle. That's complete down inside the 10, all the way to the end zone. Untouched, touchdown, Winnipeg. An early bird special from Dalton Schoen, and the Bombers go on top.
Sellout crowd at IG Field for this West Final. Gonna love this start from Zach Kolaris. Patience on that short crossing route. He gets to Schoen, and there's the first example of getting used to the footing. And just a little bit of sprinkle of snow on the field, and that was Schoen using it to his advantage, getting the edge and getting to the end zone.
A monstrous rookie season continues for Dalton Schoen. 19-yard strike, Leggio out for the extra point. And he pushes it wide right. Leggio missing the extra point. And it will be pushed back out. Helmets flying everywhere there. Dobson lost his. So Leggio with a little bit of a buzzkill here early, missing the extra point. But the fans at IG Field love this. Wolotarski with a nice block, opens up Schoen, untouched to the end zone. Bombers break the ice.
1-0 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the key matchup. There's Dalton Schoen, there's Nick Dembski. Let me show you what happens to Marcus Sayles. Dembski's running the clear-out route. He's going to go straight down the field, stop it there. Now Sayles, who's covering Dalton Schoen, has to work around that rub from Dembski to get back to Schoen and get in position, and he can't get there in time and gets blocked trying to get an angle, and Schoen gets to the end zone.
Caps off a 6-play, 74-yard drive to 4 minutes and 1 second. Bombers up 6-0 after a mixed extra point from Leggio. Williams on the return, wrapped up and taken down by Evan Holm. And this is where Nathan Rourke gets to start. Team already down 6-0.
Yeah, back early on in July when these two teams played, this is exactly what happened to Rourke. He came on down 7-0 for his first series after a big return on the opening kickoff by Janarian Grant. So he's down again in this West Final, starting from a hole.
On the road, West Final against the back-to-back Grey Cup champs. Down 6 is Rourke. This is where he starts on his own 33, fakes a handoff, looks downfield, takes his running back and throws it over his head. It was Butler out of the backfield, and it falls incomplete. Butler a big piece of this BC Lions starting offense.
Yeah, and good news up front. They get Joel Figueroa back at left tackle. That'll move Jarrell Broxton into right guard. So Figueroa had a great season. He's back at that tackle spot. In the receiving core, there's your number 2 receiver in the Canadian Football League behind Dalton Schoen, Dominique Grimes. Huge season for him, over 1,400 yards.
Had 11 touchdowns along the way as well. 2nd and 10 here for Rourke. 4-man pressure. Rourke drops it in there. Hollins trying to get underneath it. They will say it is incomplete. He ever so briefly said, I think I hauled it in, but officials are right there, and that'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, no signal from Alex Hollins to his coaching staff to challenge this or think about it. He got up saying he caught it, but you can see it bounced off the ground. What you'll see with that snow on the field, you'll be able to tell if it touches the field or not.
Whoa! And now it's blocked. Bomber special teams does the job. They'll hop all over it. Cadwell Adder able to scoop it up. And things go from bad to worse for the BC Lions. Flintoff blocked on the way way through, and the Bombers knocking on the door once again.
Take a look at the block again. Jordan Williams got inside out. Guzlak Messam supposed to come inside, but they don't get there in time. And right around that corner, the Bombers get to it. Now, it looked like Flintoff was a little shallow where he lined up to punt this. They're looking to see the command center is...
The previous play is under review by the command center.
They're looking to see if there is a roughing the kicker there. If a defender touches the football on the way to hitting the kicker, there's no penalty. But if he doesn't get there and takes a leg out of the plant foot, there could be a roughing the kicker if he didn't touch the ball.
So what if one of his teammates touches the ball prior to that?
That's a timing question. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah. Because there was two guys flying right in there. Let's get another look at this here. Huge moment early in the West Final.
Take a look at the plant foot.
Let's get the official ruling.
After review, we have major foul, roughing the kicker. Winnipeg number 47. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, how about that? What a swing of events here in the first 5 minutes of the ball game. As it looked like Winnipeg was going to have the ball inside the 20.
Yeah, and, you know, I think the Bomber fans are wondering, and it looked like Nick Hallett got the ball, and it wasn't Hallett that got the plant foot.
It was Cadwallader, and I believe Ryan Cole was in the mix as well. So somebody got the ball, the other guy got the leg, and that's what they're going to call. Well, anything to fire the crowd up a little bit more at IG Field here. They'll get behind this defense. All of a sudden, the BC Lions have the ball after the penalty on their own 48. Much better field position this time for Rourke. Grimes and Burnham behind their quarterback in the slot to the left. That's where they'll throw. Almost intercepted. Alden Darby Jr. He had it, and it bounced out right there for the taking.
The bottom line, and Bomber fans have to understand, and this rule changed a couple of years ago, that a block kick, you cannot, whether you touch it or not, you cannot hit the plant foot. If I'm talking about, if you touch the ball and hit the kicking foot,
kicking leg,
it's no penalty. If you don't touch it and hit the kicking foot, it's roughing the kicker. That was the correct call, because the plant foot is off limits no matter what.
Don't touch the plant foot, ever. Empty backfield for Rourke this time. Pressure from the Bombers. Gets it away just in time, but it falls incomplete. He was looking for Burnham, and the Bombers defense comes back on the field and shuts the door once again against the Lions.
Yeah, and with the lineup that the Bombers put on that defensive call, Richie Hall gets all those guys up on the line of scrimmage like he does. That forces max protection. So Butler's in. They bring in Javon Catoy. He's blocking as well. Not as many targets down the field now for Nathan Rourke to try and find an open receiver.
This time Flintoff gets it away. Grant waiting, bounces just outside his 20, off his foot. It's up for grabs. Still bouncing down inside the 10. The Lions are on and almost to the end zone. Stop just short. What is happening at IG Field here in the early moments of the West Final? Another huge turn of events as Rourke has to get ready to go back out on offense.
Well, first of all, it's a clean kick for the Lions. They get it blocked up front, and what it is a turn of events to have a block punt overturned with a roughing the kicker turning into the ball down inside the 5 for the BC Lions as Janarian Grant just misplays it. It just rolls between his legs. He's got his eyes upfield and not concentrating on getting possession of the football.
Antonio Pipkin into the game at quarterback for the Lions. He'll slide up under center. Trying to push ahead, looking for the end zone, and he's through. Touchdown BC. The Lions answer back. We're tied
think the Bombers right now are just trying to figure out what has just happened over the last 60 seconds. I mean, just complete switch and turn in momentum to have the overturned call, the overturned block punt, a fumble by Janarian Grant misplayed the punt, and the Lions have tied the game.
Well, Janarian Grant's been so steady for the Bombers in the return game so far this year. Sean White to give his side the lead, and he just sneaks it in the left upright. And hey, buckle up. Don't go anywhere this afternoon. I think we've got a good one on our hands at IG Field. Pipkin to the end zone. Lions on top. Welcome back to Winnipeg, everyone. For more on the field conditions today, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Well, Dustin, Janarian Grant's drop notwithstanding, the field conditions are pretty good according to players on both teams. Their footing, at the very least, is good. The snow is very light. There's no wind to speak of. Temperatures right now around -5. I asked Nathan Rourke, what's the coldest place you've ever played? And he said, my seniors night, my last year in 2019 at Ohio. Much colder, much more wind than this. He played fairly well. He's got the short sleeves on, a battery-operated hand warmer. Hopefully for him, it's just keep my fingers and toes warm. Everything else I can deal with.
It's all about the fingers and toes, isn't it, Zeus?
Well, especially for quarterbacks. You got to keep the tips of their fingers warm so that they can have the accuracy on those throws. Both quarterbacks will be dealing with that here in this one.
Sean White to kick it away. His team up 7-6. Grant waiting. Bobbles it again. This time he's able to scoop it up, and now he's off to the races right up the middle of the field, trying to break loose. Thrown heavily down to the turf at the 50, but a nice return here for Grant.
Let's go back, Dustin, one more time to this punt. I just want to clear it up because I know there's a lot of Bomber fans wondering what happened. And a rule change under the umbrella of player safety a couple of years ago was you can't hit the plant foot at all, whether you touch the ball or not. So I was talking about touching the ball or not matters on the kicking leg. But the plant foot, you just cannot make contact with. It's a player safety issue. That was the penalty.
Oliveira, first down carry. It seems like so much has happened since the last time the Bombers offense was on the field. They looked great, drove down the field, put up 6, and now we've had some special teams turnovers. And they finally get a chance to hop back out here with about 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Collaros is 2 for 2, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Excellent in the action he did have against the BC Lions this season. Working 2nd and 6 here on his own 54. Oliveira picks up some pressure. Collaros over the middle. He's got a completion to Rasheed Bailey, and Bailey tracked down from behind, but not after he picks up a first down, almost 20 yards on that play. Big play here for Bailey.
Didn't know till warm-up whether or not Bailey was going to play. He's going to run that dig route, and he doesn't have to go full speed. He just makes a nice, easy cut, comes across the middle, and then patiently waits for that football to be delivered from Zach Collaros as he comes back to the ball a couple steps.
Jalen Edwards Cooper there to wrap him up. 1st and 10 from the 40 after 16 yards to Rasheed Bailey. Back to Oliveira. Takes a heavy blow just inside the 40. And eventually it is blown down. He's tied up there by Ben Delatic.
It's playoff football. Good no call.
Shove here or there.
No call by the officials.
There's no plant leg stuff. That's what we've realized.
Yeah, not surprised, though, that Buck Pierce, the offensive coordinator, wants to try and establish this run, test that linebacking course, see how they handle Brady Oliveira, who had his first 1,000-yard rushing season this year as the starting tailback here in Winnipeg.
Oliveira's got 4 carries for 19 yards so far today, average 5 yards per carry during the season. An empty backfield here for Collaros. 3-man pressure over the middle. Rugamba almost had it in his hands. Looked like the turf knocked it away when he went down. Had 1 interception. interception during the regular season. This one would have been huge.
Yeah, for the defensive coordinator and Ryan Phillips here, when you go three-man pressure, this is exactly why you do it, because you've got so many defenders playing their zones that you can get a guy to read it and jump it. And that's exactly what Rugamba does. He just doesn't finish the play with the catch, and Zach goes, okay, all right. A bit of a break there.
We saw Darby the other way drop one as well. Both defenses have had some opportunities. Leggio missed an extra point earlier. This is its first ever playoff field goal attempt, and it'll be a 43-yarder just inside the right hash. And some redemption here early for Leggio as he knocks it through and puts his team back on top. 9-7, the Bombers lead, looking to book a ticket to Regina. It's been another great season for Zach Collaros, and for more on the Bombers quarterback, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Guys, when Zach Collaros was in Hamilton pre-injury, we saw his escapability. But then, as he recovered from ACL surgery and wanted to avoid further concussions, that really went away from his game. I asked him when it came back and when he got confidence to take off and move around again. He said, I knew it was always going to come back. For me to be successful, that's how I have to play. He said when he first arrived at the University of Cincinnati, the highly successful coach, Brian Kelly, who's now at LSU, was his coach then. He said, you can't do that at this level. You're not a good enough athlete. He said, I looked at a teammate of mine and said, yeah, we'll see. And now, when he goes into quarterback meetings with Prukop and Brown, he tells them at some point, don't let the nuance of the game bog you down. At some point, you've just got to go out and make a play.
He's done that a number of times so far this season.
Yeah, we talked about that in the pregame show as well, and just how good his receiving core is at scramble rules.
They'll hand it off to James Butler. Butler breaking a couple of tackles and takes it outside the BC 40. Here's a look at the Bombers' defense today.
Well, Willie Jefferson, by his standards, had a quiet year. He didn't lead the team in sacks with 7, but this is a type of game where he steps up and makes plays. There's your leader in tackles, leader on the defense, future Hall of Famer Adam Bighill anchors down the middle of the D, and right down Main Street behind him is Brandon Alexander at safety. Got a feeling he might make a play or two tonight.
2nd and 6 for Rourke. In the pocket with time, and skies that one high and out of bounds. Rourke has started this game 0 for 5, yet his team is only down by 2.
Yeah, you know, one guy that could really explain this well is our Hall of Fame quarterback Matt Dunnigan, and just it looks like it's something to do with his mechanics, whether he's overstriding and the ball is sailing, or just having an issue with his accuracy early on here.
Grant this time takes it cleanly, 34-yard kick, and he's hammered out of bounds along the sideline. A flag coming on the hit, and the Lions will argue this.
Or was he out of bounds when he got hit? Grant on the sideline there.
During the return, illegal block. Winnipeg number 24. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Bombers will be backed up a little bit on that penalty on the return by Grant. Collaros 3 of 4 for 75 yards, 1 to Dembski, 1 to Schoen, and 1 to Rasheed Bailey so far here this afternoon. Starting this drive on their own 32. Dump it off to Dembski underneath, puts on the brakes, cuts it upfield. Purifoy is there with the initial contact. The rest of the help coming in, Josh Banks among others. And about half of what they needed on a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And here's a look at their season so far and how they got here.
Yeah, team record 15 wins mentioned off the top. They were 8-1 at home. That one loss against the West Division was when they had already locked up first place in the West and played some backups, including Drew Brown at quarterback in BC. Finished the season with 2 games against the Lions.
The only team they've played in the last 4 weeks. TJ Lee underneath on this one, and that would have been 6 the other way as he had his hands on that. That's the 3rd interception I think we can say has been dropped by a defender so far today. They're all over the ball. Just can't hang on to one.
You know, there are some who say that that's why they played DB. But this is just a throw that's a little bit behind Ellingson, and TJ Lee, the veteran, has a crack at it. And you're right, he catches that. He's still running. He scores.
Leggio backs up Williams, takes it just inside his own 30, gets a block, and will eventually be stopped just shy of the BC 35 as we take a look at the BC Lions and how they got here to IG Field today.
Strong 12-6 record, 2nd in the West. That's why they hosted the Calgary Stampeders in the West semifinal, a 30-16 win. Nathan Rourke's first playoff win as a starter. Rourke started the season 8-1 and then was injured. You got to give Vernon Adams a lot of credit too for keeping it on the rails after that, but finished 2nd, hosted the semi, and here they are.
The only loss in that 8-1 start at home against these Bombers. Rourke dumps it off to Butler, waits for it, hauls it in, ball knocked loose, Bombers are on it! Turnover, Winnipeg defense does it again!
I think James Butler might have to go into the protocols. He looks a little off as he gets up from this big hit. Screenplay to get things started offensively for the BC Lions. It's a good call, and he's got deep yards on first down there, but that hit, ball pops out, Bombers recover.
Willie Jefferson knocks it out right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of game, that's what I said in the introductions and the lineups, that Willie Jefferson's had sort of a quiet statistical season, but by his standards, all-star season by other standards.
Flag on the play. Collaros is going to be wrapped up, just throws it away. It looked like it was BC moving early. And now a late flag as Williams stood over Zach Collaros. And that will not be related and connected to the first one that we saw.
I think you're right on the initial call on the offside on BC. Woody Barron jumped in the middle of the D-line.
We have a penalty on each team. We have offside BC. We have intentional grounding on Winnipeg. By rule, those penalties are going to be offset, and it'll be first down.
Now we know why Collaros is trying to make a case here.
Yeah, so Barron's offside. That's the first one. But if Collaros going down is, if he doesn't have a receiver close, it's got to pass the line of scrimmage. He can throw it away, but if it doesn't go across the line of scrimmage, it's got to be a receiver within the vicinity. Brady Oliveira tried to get there, but they're saying he didn't get close enough.
When it's all said and done and sorted out, 1st and 10 for the Bombers after that turnover caused by Jefferson on the BC 42. Oliveira, nice sidestep, pushes it ahead down to the Lions 35, right through the heart of this BC defense. 7 yards for Brady Oliveira.
Yeah, it really was a patient run by Oliveira. He just took his time and kind of let his blocks set up for him. He's right behind Zach Collaros and takes it off Zach's left side, and then just a nice jump cut there to be patient in the hole and get to that second level.
Prukop into the game, 2nd and 3. He'll hand it off to his running back, and Oliveira will be stopped short, I believe, but it'll be 3rd and very short here for Winnipeg.
True run-pass option play by Dakota Prukop with Brady Oliveira. He had the decision to make there as he had it in the stomach of Oliveira, and he was going to look to maybe pull it and take it around the edge. He ends up giving it to him, and he's half a yard short.
Good look from above as Prukop settles in, pushing ahead, and a great second effort. Not even sure it was needed. Looked like he was there on the initial push as Collaros gets set to come back out and take over the offense. Do your job, right? That's what Prukop just did perfectly.
Yeah, and both these teams have great short yardage teams, and quarterbacks coming off the bench. I think it's the best way to do that. Gives them a chance to feel like they're completely involved, and we saw a trick play at a short yardage in the West semifinal by the BC Lions.
And not far off from around this area on the field. Out at BC Place, excellent crowd out there this time last week for the Lions at St. Peter's. 1st and 10 here for Collaros. Oliveira again, right up the middle again. And he pushes it down inside the 20. A nice commitment to the ground attack here from the Bombers. 13 more yards for Brady Oliveira.
Big block up front by Patrick Neufeld. Watch him get this block down here. It's a kick-out block for Neufeld. He gets it turned and to the outside, and now that opens it up for Brady Oliveira. But congratulations to the former U of S Huskies and the U of S on their way to play St. FX in the UTEC Bowl.
Huskies picking up the Hardy Cup yesterday. Oliveira 41 yards on 7 carries. Collaros this time finds Schoen down towards the 10. He'll be stopped just short. TJ Lee, among others, in on the tackle of Dalton Schoen. And that is going to do it for just a crazy first quarter here at IG Field. Turnovers, near interceptions, touchdowns. We've got it all for you in Winnipeg. It's the Bombers on top, 9-7. Well, it's the West Final in Winnipeg. The Bombers on top, 9-7, just 8 passing yards for Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions in that first half.
Yeah, he's off. I mean, this is the first time all season long we've said about Nathan Rourke that he's having an accuracy issue. It was just one completion in that first quarter, and that was a screen pass to James Butler, and then he fumbled on that play. He's gone in the locker room for some examination here. So, yeah, Nathan Rourke's got to get dialed in. I have no doubt that he will. He just has to figure out the footing, his foot injury, and how that's playing into this, and get back and dialed in. One of the most accurate passes. Well, in completion percentage, as you know, Dustin, the most accurate passer in Grey Cup history after this season. Almost 80%.
Had a phenomenal year, no doubt about that. 1 of 6 for 8 yards. And it was a fumble from Butler that ended that drive. Second quarter underway here at IG Field. Collaros knocking on the door, looking to the end zone, picked off! Marcus Sales slides underneath and takes it away. And Sales will eventually take a knee in the end zone. We said so many guys have been so close already today, and that time Sales is able to hang on. Huge turnover here by the Lions defense.
Well, Nick Dembski and Dalton Schoen got Sales on that Dalton Schoen early touchdown. There comes Dembski out of the backfield. Schoen again working in tandem. They're going down the field, and this is just Marcus Sales sliding underneath the deep corner route. That's not very often that you are going to fool Zach Collaros and bait him into throwing that corner when you're falling underneath it, and he knows it immediately.
BC Lions will get the ball back.
Right here.
Let's start on their 25. David Mackey into the game and running back next to Rourke. Rourke near side. Hollins has it, and he'll hang on.
Yeah, he'll get dialed in. You know, I mean, this is exactly the type of accuracy that we are used to seeing with number 12. He steps back here and he throws a dart to Hollins on that little dig route, that little in route. That's what the dig is. You go down about 10, 15 yards and straight across the middle at a 90-degree angle. There is his completion percentage, best all time. Canadian Football League history, ahead of Ricky Ray.
7 yards to Hollins, 2nd and 3. Work, ball up for grabs, bounced off the hand of Jefferson. Jeffcoat tried to slide underneath it, but the Bombers defense once again wreaking havoc for O'Rourke and the Lions.
Our coach on the panel talked about when Richie Hall decides to move Willie Jefferson inside. He usually plays off the edge outside of the tackle, but they move him inside with Adam Bighill on the edge this time, and he gets in the throwing lanes much better from that position.
Flintoff bobbles it, picks it up and kicks it away. Grant waiting. This time he'll take it cleanly, just inside the 40, looking for the near side. And he'll be wrapped up and taken down. Nice tackle there by Josh Woods. And decent field position, though, here for Collaros and the Bombers after throwing an interception in the end zone on the last possession. He'll look to get back on track next. For all the exclusive coverage all tournament long, I believe Matthew Shinetti's already down there watching from his hotel room today. Here's Dembski. And nowhere to go on first down. Tried to string it out a little bit, but Purifoy was there. Collaros, 5 of 8, 85 yards, touchdown, and a pick so far. Of course, last year in the West Final, Bombers turned the ball over a handful of times in the first half.
5 times in the first half, but Saskatchewan in that West Final didn't capitalize. They were just down by 3 at the half after 5 turnovers, and then bounced back and won that to the Grey Cup.
3 options to the right, 2 to the left for Collaros. He's going to be pressured out on the run to his left. Taken down by Betts. Gets home, wraps him up, and takes down number 8. And the sensational season for Matthew Betts continues. He had a sack last week as well.
Yeah, he did, and boy, is he just playing outstanding. This comes a long way to get there. This is a tremendous season by the former Laval product. Comes off the edge, just relentless to get to Zach Collaros, because we've talked about how dangerous he is when he gets outside of the pocket. Betts runs him down from behind.
Especially going to his right, but even to his left. Zach has made a bunch of plays this year. Williams takes it at the 31. And it's tripped up and taken down by Brian Cole. Willie Jefferson already having a huge impact in this game.
Yeah, so good in the knockdowns. I mean, you know, he put him inside. Look at those hands. He's trying to show us that's how big they are. When you put your hands up like that, you got to throw around those mitts. 50 games with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he has 31 knockdowns. No other defensive lineman is even remotely close to his numbers of knockdowns at the line of scrimmage.
Forced a fumble in last year's West Final, has done it again today here already. Butler back in the game, and he is taken down, maybe back to the line of scrimmage, certainly no further.
Well, this is what teams will try to do against Willie Jefferson. They'll say, well, let's run right at him and see if we can try to slow him down from making plays. But look at how he's going to take on the run, string it out, let his linebacking core scrape to the football and make the tackle. That's exactly how you play it off the defensive end spot. He is a playmaker.
Feeding off the energy of this crowd.
A world-class athlete coming off the air.
No denying it. 2nd and 10 for Rourke. Crowd deafening here at IG Field. Rourke with time this time. Can't find anybody. Now looking for Rhymes, and that's batted down. Desmond Lawrence came over with the denial.
Just a great break downhill on the ball by Desmond Lawrence. That throw was right on the money lead to Dominic Grimes.
Grant, far side of the field, looking for a little bit of room. He's got it, stays on his feet, now he'll take it down to midfield. Janarian Grant on the near side. He'll take it down inside the 40, gets around Flintoff. Grant's going to take it to the 20, to the 10. He's done it again. Not a flag in sight. Janarian Grant takes it to the house.
He did it back in July against the Lions, and he's done it again. You need one block on the outside to get the corner. He's got outside of containment there on the cover team. Then the good cutback, and now it's one-on-one with Flintoff. I like Janarian Grant's chances in that matchup.
Nothing against Flintoff, but most players in the league aren't going to track down that guy. His third return touchdown against the Lions this season.
Certainly nothing against Flintoff, but Janarian Grant beat 11 other guys before he got to Flintoff.
Leggio, extra point, and this one is good. Janarian Grant, dangerous every time he touches the ball. This time there was no stopping him. Got past Flintoff. See you later. Good night. Grant to the end zone.
Everybody has a lane on the kickoff cover team. Jordan Williams, number 21, is the only guy that can turn this back inside. If he gets out, Grant's got to go inside. Watch Mike Miller, though. Mike Miller doesn't need a big block here. He just needs to keep him inside to give Janarian Grant a sliver to the outside and to the sideline, and that's all Grant needed.
He did the rest by himself, and the Bombers up 16-7. Here's Williams. Williams, the answer won't be there this time. He stopped just shy of his own 35.
Baby, I love you. Go blue. We're here all day, every day, baby. One play at a time, you feel me?
It was back in July, and this is how the game started. Opening kickoff after the Lions came into this one 8-0. The great start by Nathan Rourke, and this was a marquee matchup. Zach Collaros versus Nathan Rourke, and before the Lions knew it, they were down 14-0.
Grant had 2 punt return TDs, 1 kick return TD during the regular season. Work down the field for Rhymes. He's got him just inside the 35. Dominic Rhymes' first catch of the day is a big one for BC.
Yeah, you got the feeling Nathan Rourke understood the urgency. And this is one thing that he is so mature beyond his years as a starter at the pro level, because at times you got to know when it's time to get it going and make a big play to try and grab some momentum, especially on the road. That was a 42-yarder.
No better guy to do it with than Rhymes, who had just over 1,400 yards this season. Second only to Dalton Schoen on the other side of the ball today. Rourke, Butler, incomplete. Going to take what he had in his running back, but Butler couldn't haul it in.
I will say this, there was some question after the semifinal. Rourke took some hits in that game. The O-line at times struggled against a very good Calgary defensive front. And Rourke so far, Richie Hall hasn't sent too many exotic blitzes at this point, and Rourke so far is getting some protection initially against that tough D-line for Winnipeg.
Ball on the Bomber 34. Rourke, a ton of time. Tight window picked off. Intercepted by Winston Rose. And the Bombers defense comes up with yet another big play. Rose had 3 interceptions during the regular season. Give him one in the West Final as well, as he steps into this one and takes it away from Nathan Rourke. stay warm on the sidelines there after that big completion to Rhymes. 2 plays later, throws the interception. Winston Rose making the play.
Who had that? Nathan Rourke just trying to flush that last one. Just a communication issue with a guy that he was on the exact same page with back in the semifinal last week. That was Keon Hatcher, and Keon Hatcher was the intended target here. Hatcher had the big game against Calgary, has not had a catch. That was his first target, that last throw. I'll show you what happened.
That game against Calgary was top 5 all-time BC Lions playoff game. That's how good Hatcher was last week. Oliveira right up the middle, and this will be stopped after just getting back to the line of scrimmage.
I'll show you what happened with Hatcher, and again, they'll get back on the same page, but Hatcher has basically a dig route or an in route coming across the middle from that wide out spot. So he goes inside. Now right here he's fine, but Rourke thinks he's going to keep running, and he throws the brakes on right there. He stops. Rourke throws it, anticipating he'll keep going across the middle, and Winston Rose says, "Thank you very much. I'll take it back the other way."
2nd and 8, 2-yard pickup for Oliveira. Collaros, far side, back to his running back, Oliveira, turning it upfield, spinning ahead, and an excellent run. Should be enough for a Winnipeg first down. What an effort from Brady Oliveira.
Should say quickly, congratulations to the Toronto Argonauts and Andrew Harris, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber tailback. This reminded me of Andrew Harris, and that's why I brought it up just now, because Andrew Harris gets tackled, he gets tackled forward. And Brady Oliveira here gets tackled forward for an extra 2-3 yards.
Threw it in the old spin cycle there and took it ahead to exactly where they needed to be. Just over 6 minutes remaining here in the second quarter of the West Final. The Argos, after a victory at home earlier today against Montreal, they're heading to Regina. Who will face them? Long way to go in this one. Bombers hope to keep the dreams of a three-peat alive. Working on their own 45. Back to Oliveira again. And a short pickup on first down. That's his 9th carry of the game.
Mentioned 1,000-yard season for Brady Oliveira. He got it on his very last touch of the regular season. There's the Canadian running backs that have hit that mark since the year 2000. Andrew Harris 5 times, another big game for him and the Argos. Congratulations on your berth. Earned a right to play for it. The 109th Grey Cup Championship. Canada's national championship.
2nd and 6. Collaros dumps it off. Oliveira this time couldn't hang on, and that will fall incomplete and bring up 3rd down for Winnipeg. They'll be forced to kick this away with just over 5 left.
Yeah, both these defenses playing well here in this second quarter. That interception by Marcus Sayles take points off the board for the Bombers early on, and this a good play by Jordan Williams to track down Brady Oliveira. Pressure from the D-line, and Zach had to dump it down.
Leggio away cleanly, low kick. It's going to bounce at the 35 and roll all the way out of bounds at the BC 26. Well, not much longer to wait for the halftime show at the 109th Grey Cup. Announced just over a week ago, and people are excited for the Twisted Tea halftime show.
Buy Dirt, man. It's Jordan Davis' big song.
Good tune. That's a good tune. Also a huge fan of Twisted Tea myself.
Working on that on the guitar. You might hear that after Grey Cup Sunday.
Oh, yeah. There we go. If you need somebody to play trombone, let me know. Okay. Yeah, let me know. Big chance here for Rourke to get some momentum late in the first half. Trailing 16-7, they'll start on their own 26. Butler, very short pickup as just the 3rd carry of the game for the BC Lions. Here we have some royalty in the house. There she is. Oh. Sarah Orletsky, the legend herself.
Avery, her daughter, to her right, and Sarah is a rock star in this province, that's for sure. Well, across Canada, no question. But
Probably had an autograph session scheduled for halftime.
exactly.
Well, good to see her back in the crowd for the first time in 15 years. Rourke pressured, gets it away. Cotoy with a big catch. He only had one last week. That's his first today. And that one, well, not spectacular, moves the chains in a big way.
Yeah, we talked to Nathan Rourke about Adam Bighill and how he's got the freedom to play in a lot of different spots. I think Rourke kind of looked at him. That took his read away from where he wanted to go, and that's why the pocket started to collapse on him. Bighill has a little bit of freedom. The veteran, that's a hands to the face that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will get away with.
Rourke looks to his left, throws to his left, has a completion. It's Hollins who's really stepped up and taken advantage of an opportunity with Lucky Whitehead out, and he will haul in his second catch of the game.
Yeah, Richie Hall's starting to dial it up now with a little bit of a halfback blitz coming off the edge here. He's trying to bring, you don't see him just yet, but it's Diedrich Nichols, the halfback. This is called the hammer blitz. There's number one. It's blocked up nicely, and Rourke throws right into the teeth of that blitz.
Rourke at 74 yards passing here in the first half. They'll hand it off to Butler.
Tough running.
Butler's very close to picking up that first down. It was second and a couple. Looks like the spot might have them about half a yard short as that takes us inside 3 minutes. Little bit chilly, but not too bad for mid-November in Winnipeg at IG Field.
To everyone working at the CFL, we were wondering if we could have an extra 10 minutes at the half. 18 isn't going to be enough. We have touchdowns, we have punt return, we have turnovers, we have near turnovers, we have roughing the kicker, we have interceptions. I've got like 9 more items on this list. Please, 10 more? 10 minutes?
I totally forgot that much had happened already. Pipkin into the game. This place would have erupted if the Bombers defense could have made that stop on 3rd and short, but Pipkin does the job.
Well, and it seems like Nathan Rourke has settled in a little bit again, getting used to the footing, working with that foot injury, which hasn't seemed to bug him, although we haven't seen him run. He's had good time up front to throw the football. The pocket's been pretty solid for him in this first half.
About 2.5 minutes remaining here in the second quarter of the West Final. Rourke, pocket collapsing, spins out. Jefferson trying to track him down. Rourke stumbles. Jefferson got just a piece of him, but a pretty good pickup. 8 yards for Rourke, getting something when it looked like nothing was there.
Brandon Alexander takes away his #1 target. He's a safety, and he wants to take away the crossing route. Rourke has to bail because of it. Alexander's right here. Watch him take away the crosser. Rourke sees that and doesn't want to throw this pick to 37. He takes away that crosser right there, and now he has to bail and blind turn to get out, and a pretty good run.
Moved all right. Eventually knocked down. Empty backfield this time for Rourke. 2nd and 3 at midfield, far side. And that's the first catch of the day for the veteran, Brian Burnham. Time to activate him and get him going here.
Without question. I mean, there's a guy that he's going to run that quick out. Get him isolated, and if Winston Rose is going to play off by 6 or 7, they'll just keep working that underneath.
1st and 10 from the Bomber 50. Hatcher hangs on. Great coverage there. Rose is right on his back, but Hatcher now has his first catch of the ball game.
Great recognition here from James Butler to see where the blitz is coming from and make sure he gets there to help. It's a hammer blitz again from the secondary, and Butler takes it and makes the key block so that Rourke can deliver a strike. Jordan Maximic's got to draw it off where the tailback has got to make sure he picks up the blitzer. Got to done there.
2nd and 2, 9th play of the drive for the Lions. Flag as the ball is snapped, and the whistle is blown as they eventually get it out to Katoy. The flag was deep in the secondary.
Time count violation, BC number 12. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
The first quarter, Nathan Rourke's accuracy wasn't there. He was trying to settle in. In this second quarter, Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator, has gone with some more blitz. Coming from the secondary a couple of times now, we've seen it's been blocked up. What has he got dialed up for 2nd and long?
2nd and 12 to be exact. They are out of Sean White's field goal range at the moment. 4 options to the right here for Rourke. And the time count again, unless they got a timeout in.
Timeout. BC.
That was close.
Well, and you might chalk this one up to the great crowd here in Winnipeg as well. I mean, this is a packed house at IG Field, and I'm not sure I've heard it this loud all season long in any building. I mean, this has been unbelievable, and the communication is an issue for the BC Lions, especially offensively. I mean, look how close they are in that huddle. They can't even hear the calls in the huddle.
Second, and they needed a dozen. Rourke looked like he was hit as he goes. It was Darby again. Tried to come back to it. And it'll fall incomplete. Bring up 3rd down from the Winnipeg 52.
I think it was Jackson Jeffcoat that's going to get there this time, and Jeffcoat will also move inside so they can play their defensive ends either on the end where we're used to seeing them, or they put them in at defensive tackle, and then they get in the throwing lane, and this time Jeffcoat just gets the right hand on the release of Nathan Rourke.
Flintoff tries to drive it away from Grant. That will bounce into the end zone. And Janarian Grant will take a knee with 62 seconds on the clock. And as Kate had mentioned a little bit earlier on, they've got lots to discuss at the half. Will you say he's not done yet?
No, I don't think he is.
I'd probably take his word for it.
And having said that, I still like the protection that Nathan Rourke has had in this first half. It hasn't been bad at all. Forcing a couple of blitzes from the Bombers, that's something that, you know, they've done throughout the season, but their calling card is to go with 4-man pressure and let the back end take care of the pass.
No sacks from the Bombers defense today. They were 8th actually in sacks this year with 36. So they haven't got home as much as they have in previous years. Now a handoff to Oliveira and a nice chunk on 1st down. He'll be just shy of moving those chains.
I don't think they're going to go with short yardage. There's time to get in field goal range.
Brewcop will come into the game. That's still 57 seconds. Not much wind here today at all, which is great for all of the fans in attendance. A little chilly and a little bit of snow, but very little wind. And Brewcop has the 1st down and a couple yards extra for good measure as well.
Brady Oliveira is halfway to a 100-yard rushing game quietly. And one of the reasons for that is those guys up front, led by Stanley Bryant, who is the only player in CFL history with 5 straight divisional nominations for any award. His, of course, Offensive Lineman of the Year, 6-time All-CFL, 3-time Grey Cup champion. He's their leader up front.
The only guy to win that outstanding lineman 3 times in his career as well. Here's Kolaris, Wolotarski, and Wolotarski taken down by Williams, but lunging ahead and might be spotted just shy of a first down.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and call it on the line of scrimmage. They've got to use the clock efficiently here, and they can get in field goal range with another 10-yard completion.
Polaris, Oliveira, that'll take him within field goal range as he rumbles down inside the 35 with 11 seconds on the clock. Polaris out to his right, down the field inside the 20, gets it to Wolotarski for the second time on this drive with 4 seconds on the clock, making things a little bit easier for their field goal kicker.
Real smart by Wolotarski here to make sure that he goes down. He's a wide receiver in this bunch formation to the field, and he knows the time on the clock is what's most important here, so he catches it, goes right down. Now, the Lions didn't have to touch him right away. They could have waited another 1 or 2 seconds. And this will be the final play of the half.
Leggio out to tack on 3 more with a 24-yard field goal attempt just inside the right hash pretty much straight away, and he will knock it through. Bombers on top 19-8 in a very eventful first half here at IG Field. As a football fan, you couldn't ask for much more on a beautiful night in Winnipeg. Let's send it back to Kate in the panel to break it down.
Back alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel. I don't know about you guys. I feel like I've watched 3 football games in that half. It was absolutely wild. Milt, I'll start with you on Winnipeg's defense so far, and you can see it in Nathan Rourke's numbers, 7 of 17 for 87 yards, but the Bombers D just doing what they've done all season long.
Yeah, and before the game, Willie Jefferson was being interviewed, and he said their goal was to make Nathan Rourke uncomfortable, and they've been able to do that. We've seen a couple of good plays. For the most part, they've been able to stymie this this offense, and not just Nathan Rourke, but Butler also. And with a quarterback like Nathan Rourke, you got to try to make him uncomfortable. Yes, we know he's not 100%, but we know what he's capable of. We saw that last week. But these Bombers are throwing different things at him. Richie Hall has done a great job of mixing up things. You never know where the pressure is coming from. You never know how the defensive backs, based on their lineup, their initial lineup, what they're going to do. So great job. But they have to continue because we know what type of quarterback Nathan Rourke is. We know how mentally tough he is, what he's able to do. So it's going to be exciting to see how this second half turns out.
No question these elements are playing a definitive role in this football game, as well as both teams. And it was crazy. And Kate, you know, you asked for more time at halftime because we could use it, because just with the special teams alone, it was chaotic. And it started with the missed convert by Leggio, and he settled down since then quite nicely. But points off the board. Block punt. No, it's not. It is roughing the kicker after their league reviews this, and they got it right. A muffed punt by Janarian Grant. That sets up BC for a quick, easy score. And then this right here, the 3rd time that we've seen Janarian Grant go on a punt return off. And he is definitely a Lion killer and a Lion King, because he takes it to the house. And that's huge. And basically the difference here in the first half, that's his 4th special teams return for a touchdown this year. Janarian Grant, 8th in his career. The guy is money. And it's plays like that that make a difference in these ball games. And right there, that was huge for the Bombers, because this has been chaotic in the first half.
It's been crazy. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's, you know, coming to the game, it was talking about this BC secondary and the matchup, and that being kind of a key to what I saw. And I think they stepped up. They've made some plays, guys all around. But Winnipeg, the other side, they've been outstanding in their back end. And I think it's been a down year for their secondary compared to how they've been in the last 3 years. They look great today thus far. But Rakumba right there with a great play. And then this is TJ Lee. This is cover zero. He sees the blitz. He's disguising a little bit right there. He does not move. Break on the ball. That's a vet. Got to catch that rock. But guys making plays on the ball is going to be key, because they're going to get opportunities. You can see it. Like, they're blitzing. They're pressuring, they're playing some man, they're challenging. I think both sides are challenging.
Yep.
And so it's either going to be, the game's going to be won or lost with some of these plays from defensive backs and receivers.
You're taught to trust your eyes, right?
Absolutely.
And I love what Ryan Phillips and his experience is paying over onto the football field, and I can see he's got his DBs standing there, like you said, just reading it. They're not in a back pedal, and they're not losing footing because they're not putting themselves in harm's way. They're just breaking and reading routes and jumping them, and they should have had several interceptions in that first half.
Take advantage. If you don't get those opportunities again, you got to take advantage.
Well, and you can see at one point, too, Nathan Rourke, he knew what he needed to do, right? And that's when the deep ball finally came. But what's the biggest thing, in your opinion, that BC needs to do in the second half to get back into it?
They got to run the ball. They got to run the ball. We saw last week what Butler was able to do, getting 95 yards. They got to come out in the second half and run the ball. With weather like this, you got to be able to run the ball. That takes a lot of pressure off of Rourke. That would allow him to set up some play action. But if they can't run the ball, I don't think they have a chance.
Winnipeg is averaging 7 yards of play on second down right now. So they've been great. BC been great on first down. On second down, their defense got to be better.
And it hasn't been easy for Zach Collaros offensively. He's been pressured by the BC Lions and made some uncharacteristic errors as well. Forced an interception in the end zone. We saw Marcus Sales get back on track and get a pick. But, hey, he's been off his game as well. And I really think it's the elements playing a big factor here in winner take all.
The Toronto Argos were up by 11 after the first half. They ended up winning the game, punching their ticket to the 109th Grey Cup. The Bombers currently up by 11. We'll see if they can do the same. Coach Lapoli standing by right after this. We are beyond excited for the Grey Cup, but of course all the festivities leading up to Grey Cup. I don't know if you know, Coach, but once again I'm hosting the CFL Awards. It's going to be on Thursday, November the 17th. Tickets still available, greycupfestival.ca.
Excellent. I'll be there.
I appreciate that. I thought you were going to chirp me, being like, oh, they couldn't find anyone else, but I appreciate that. Coach, when we were doing the pregame before the Argos taking on the Alouettes, you were talking about the corner routes when it came to this game. Well, lo and behold, look at what is a focal point in the first half of this game.
Yeah, you always want to, when you talk about something and it goes on SportsCenter, you want to go, hey, I know what I was talking about, so let's go ahead and look at what happened in the first half, all right? Early in the game, Zach, we talked about last week that when he sees man coverage, he understands what to do. There's man coverage into the boundary. He gets a 2-on-2 situation, and he has what we call a corner route to the corner of the end zone. Easy throw for Dembski. He recognizes it, sees it. That's one of the things that's a challenge for BC. How do you handle this when they play so much man coverage? Once again, same corner route, but now the underneath route, the guy's covering it too deep, 9 yards off in man coverage, gives an easy completion underneath. Zach's seen that 100 times. But here's where they got him, right? Right before, in the second quarter, right, they're doing the same thing, but Sales. He loses sight of Sales. He's got to see if Sales drops into the deep third. He doesn't see it, doesn't put it out there enough. So an interception there. He didn't have his eyes right. Right, so, you know, it's very interesting. This first half, there's some mistakes, right? But the guy I'm proud of is Janarian Grant, coming back from that mistake and then getting big return. My first experience with him, he was in my meeting room for a week. They're like, this guy was showing up, and then all of a sudden he's starting. His first game against Calgary Stampeders has 2 return touchdowns and helps the Bombers win the game a couple years ago. So, you know, I was happy to see him do what he did. And special teams should be a big factor. You know, BC needs something to happen on special teams to help them in this second half.
And you could just see it on his face after the first time, the first flubbed return. He was just like, oh, and then it was almost like an angry run the second time. And then, of course, the touchdown. Phenomenal half for Grant. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers currently up by 11 over the BC Lions. Farhan Lalji standing by with Brady Oliveira right after this. So the Toronto Argonauts defeating the Montreal Alouettes in the Eastern Final, punching their ticket to the Grey Cup for the first time since 2017. And what a run they are on in this championship game. They have won 6 straight. It started all the way back in 1991 with the one and only Matt Dunnigan up until 2017. The last time they lost a Grey Cup, 1987. And, of course, who will they be playing? Will it be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the BC Lions? Bombers currently up by 11. What stands out for you, Milt Steele?
Well, I talked about this at our halftime show. These BC Lions have to find a way to run the ball. Is it Nathan Rourke? Is it Butler? They have to do that. That takes a lot of pressure off of Rourke, allowing him to throw the ball down the field. And turnovers, it's tied 2-2 right now. We haven't turned this ball over in the second half. got a pretty good chance of winning, Kate.
Rushing yards, obviously totally in the favor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at this point, 69-18. Here is our Farhan Lalji standing by with Brady Oliveira.
Brady, you've got an 11-point lead at halftime, and it seems that every phase of your team has contributed in this one. How good do you feel about where you're at right now after 30?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Everything's clicking, but there's still another 2 quarters left to play in this game, and we know it's going to be a battle. It's going to take a full 4 quarters to get this job done, and yeah, we're not finished yet. We got to keep going.
For you personally, you're more than halfway to 100. You're involved in the pass game with the checkdowns. Do you expect more of a steady diet of you in the second half here?
Yeah, whatever the coaches call up, I'm prepared. We're ready as a team, and when your number is called, whoever it is, you got to make plays when the time comes.
Thanks for this.
Thank you so much.
Oliveira and company 2 quarters away from yet another berth to the Grey Cup. Can they get it done? Back to IG Field with Dustin and Glenn right after this.
Second half of the West Final coming up. The Bombers leading the BC Lions 19-8. Farhan Lalji is with the head coach of the Lions, Rick Campbell.
Rick, things haven't necessarily gone the way you wanted, especially offensively, but it's still a game that you're in. What do you need to adjust with?
Yeah, that's what we just talked about. A lot of adversity, a lot of things didn't play as well as we wanted to play, but we got 30 minutes to make this right, and we still got a ball game, and we're going to keep going.
What about Nathan? He looked off like we haven't seen at any point this year. What can you do to get him comfortable?
Yeah, we'll mix the play calls up, and I'd go to bat with that guy anytime. I can't wait to see how he goes this next half.
Thanks for this.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty well said when it comes to his quarterback, Nathan Rourke, 7-17, 87 yards and an interception in the first half. By far his least impressive statistically first half of the season. But, Bombers like where they're at. They're leading 19-8. I don't know if the BC Lions hate where they're at either in this game. I mean, they're still right in it.
Still in the game, absolutely. And Zach Collaros got off to that great start, opening drive that went all the way down and scored. But remember, there's 2 good defenses on the field, too. And it's a game of adjustments. We'll see what adjustments were made at halftime.
I would say both defenses have been absolutely excellent so far in this football game. We are set to go. Leggio to kick it away to the Lions to start the third quarter. A spot in Regina against the Argos on the line. Williams takes it back out to about the 40, wrapped up and taken down by Evan Holm. Here's a look at Rourke's work in the first half tonight.
Yeah, in that first quarter, he had just 1 completion, and he was off, trying to figure out the footing, trying to figure out how he was going to push off that bad foot coming off the injury. He missed on throws that he makes in his sleep, and then this one was throw number 4 of the first quarter. He finally completed a screen pass that was then fumbled by James Butler, but in the second quarter got dialed in and hit Dominic Rhymes with a deep one.
We'll see what he can do here. Down 11 to start the third quarter. Wide open, Hatcher's got it in midfield, breaks a tackle, stays on his feet, takes it down inside the 30, and they're going to blow him out outside the 42. That's where the whistle went. That could have been much, much bigger, but still a nice way for the Lions to start the half.
And great accuracy on the throw, and the protection was there. That was one thing in the first half for Nathan Rourke, that he had protection. That hit was real late, and let's see, does he step out of bounds? Right down the sideline, and yeah, right there on the white stripe.
Can't hear a whistle at IG Field today, I'll tell you that, from up here in the booth. 27 yards to Hatcher. Butler now nowhere to go. Casey Sales wraps him up immediately.
Great second half of the season for Casey Sales. He ended up with 6 sacks, played all 18 games, and Butler has nowhere to go. It's been hard running for James Butler.
Butler 5 carries for 5 yards. Nothing on the ground for the Lions so far today. 2nd and 12 from the Winnipeg 44. Winnipeg will bring some heat. They dump it off to Butler. Inside the 40, down to the 35, and get a good chunk of it back. Certainly within field goal range. It'll be 3rd and about 3 here.
Well, the big throw to Hatcher is good news for BC Lions fans because of that chemistry from the semifinal that we were witness to when Keon Hatcher just had a huge game. Nathan Rourke found Hatcher over and over in that one. Get some chemistry going again in this second half is important.
Sean White, over 92% accurate in the regular season. 3 for 3 last week, playing in his 16th career playoff game. And as he does on a regular basis, knocks it through, and the Lions come away with some points to open the third quarter. Here's a look at what Zach did in the first half.
Yeah, just came right out of the locker room in his very first drive. He says, hey, Nick Dembski, why don't you go ahead and run a corner route? I'll just drop it over your shoulder, drop a dime in there, and then he hits Dalton Schoen, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League through the regular season for the first touchdown. That was drive number 1. Now, as the game went on in the first half, the Lions defense made some plays. They had some chances, had some interceptions. In fact, Marcus Sales made one in his own end zone on Zach in that second quarter.
They'll hand it off to Oliveira, cuts it back up. Paladek there to stop him eventually. Oliveira had 56 yards on 10 carries in the first half. Kind of picks up here where he left off.
Yeah, teams that run the ball well at this time of year are usually the teams that advance. If you go back to the semifinal, the winning teams, Montreal in the East, BC in the West, outrushed their opponents by over 130 yards combined. The line of scrimmage so important at this time of year. Big boys for Winnipeg are starting to really dig in.
7 yards for Oliveira. Brukop will keep it himself, this time pushing ahead. And he got to the 50, which is what they needed. And they'll yank him out of that pile.
So what that means now for Ryan Phillips, in order to try to contain Brady Oliveira in the run game, he's going to commit more to the box. That means bringing linebackers up closer to the line of scrimmage. And like in the semifinal against Calgary, put more pressure on his veteran secondary to cover man-to-man behind him.
Well, they did a great job against Calgary. A very good rushing attack was stopped short last week. Now here's Dembski. Right up the middle, down to the 50. A pickup of about 8 or 9 for Nick Dembski. And now a flag after the whistle. It's against the Lions. The officials still discussing things right near midfield. Nick Dembski, as always, being used in a number of different ways by Buck Pierce in this Bombers offense.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. BC number 92. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Josh Banks flagged here.
Let's go back and look at the play. Down block, and here comes Bailey on the kick out. One of the things for Rasheed Bailey in the lineup is his blocking in the run game, important down the field. So 2 down blocks, a big one from Stanley Bryant, and then Rasheed Bailey gets the linebacking core at the next level. A good run.
Oliveira breaking through tackles. Took about 3 Lions to slow him down. And they still didn't do it very well. Let's get a look at this last penalty that we saw on Banks.
There's just to the right of your screen and cruising the pile.
He was trying to pick one of the Bombers off of his guy.
It looked like he was trying to defend a teammate, but he was so late in the process that he get the retaliation.
2nd and 7 yards for Winnipeg. Back to Oliveira again. 2nd and 3, and he's got that, no problem. Takes it down inside the 25. And after watching BC's run defense last week slow down Calgary, amazing to see what Brady Oliveira is doing here.
They bring in Mike Miller, the fullback, this time to help out special teams. Demon, he gets the kick out on Sione Duhema, and that's the block that Brady Oliveira needed. And Brady Oliveira is getting to the second level on almost every first down run, to the linebackers and almost to the secondary.
Down to the BC 21. Oliveira again. Patient this time. Still trying to push ahead, and that's just a couple of hard extra yards by the churning legs of Brady Oliveira.
Good push here. This time it's not about individual blocks and finding sort of a seam. This time it's about just a great push from the O-line. Reestablishing the line of scrimmage 3 or 4 yards forward. I mean, just a tremendous road grading type push by an all-star group up front.
2nd and 5.
They love this kind of series. Those guys up there love it.
Crew Cup into the game. The Lions will bring about 5 defenders in from the sideline here as well. And we'll see what the Bombers and that man, Buck Pierce, will dial up. Inside the red zone for Crew Cup. And he'll be throwing outside. It's Bailey. He's got a first down. Takes it inside the 10. Pretty simple play design, but it works.
Well, by the personnel they bring in, the Lions start to believe that it's got to be run. They've got their fullback in there and Miller. They've got that same action with Nick Dembski crossing on the fake. They got Brady Oliveira on a fake up the middle. And that just pulls the Lions defenders towards the line of scrimmage, and they toss it out there to Rasheed Bailey.
Big boys back in here for the Bombers. Dobson and Kolonkowski out here on the line. Crew Cup remains in the game. 1st and goal from the BC 6. This time he'll be running. Crew Cup looking for the end zone. Diving just shy. They'll mark him out just outside the 1.
It was a foot race. Straight on foot race. TJ Lee and Prukop, who can get there? Stretch. Just.
Oh. You can't try any harder.
How about that angle?
His body gumbied out trying to reach for that pylon. Polaris will watch on. Prukop remains in the game. 2nd and goal from the BC 1. IG Field set to erupt. If he can punch this thing in. He's got it. Touchdown Winnipeg. Prukop finishes what he started.
Off the right side this time. No question about crossing the plane. And that drive for the Bombers was all about winning the line of scrimmage, getting the push, and the ground game.
Coming straight at you. I mean, there's really no hiding it. You knew what was happening.
Mixing in Nick Dembski, but also running the ball with Dembski. But that was Brady Oliveira, Dembski, and the O-line winning.
Leggio. Extra point. And he yanks it wide left. 2nd extra point that he's missed so far here today. Williams trying to find some room on the far side of the field, and he might have something here. Terry Williams has something cooking. He'll take it just outside the 40, all the way up to the 50. 1 man to beat. Cuts inside of the 20. Williams is going to go. Are you kidding me? Terry Williams missed field goal all the way to the house on the extra point miss. And that's a big 2
It's 2 points, not a major, but it's big when it comes to momentum.
BC Lions have been wanting to get the return game going, and this is just a missed extra point. So it's 2 points up for grabs, and he takes it at the back of the end zone. And something positive happening here for the BC Lions, courtesy number 87 in white.
Momentum shifts in this game that are seismic. I mean, first of all, back to the drive for the Bombers that went 9 plays, 70 yards, and took up 5 minutes of this third quarter. Nothing fancy about the drive. Just Brady Oliveira up the middle, Brady Oliveira off tackle, couple of change-ups to get to the corner once they committed to Brady Oliveira and got outside. Prukop and Dembski, and then finished, and then the momentum went right back to BC with a big 2-point return.
126-yard 2-point return. Here's Williams. He had left. Oh, and he's hammered, and he went down. He went down hard. And they are out quick to look at him on the return. He took a heavy pop, and he is down on the field. We'll step aside. Welcome back to Winnipeg, everyone. There's a look at Terry Williams, and wow, is it good to see that he's up after this shot. He looked like he was knocked out here.
Yeah, he's in concussion protocol right now. He looked like he got knocked out before he hit the turf.
Nathan Rourke gives this ball to Butler, and Butler once again simply has nowhere to go. He's averaging a yard per carry, and this time he lost one, or maybe back to the line of scrimmage, but certainly not any further.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jordan Maximic, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, is right now thinking, you know, how much longer can we stay with the run? We want to keep balance in the offense, but when you get the door slammed on you like that, it's second and long every time.
Down 12, midway through the third quarter, still time, but nothing on the ground so far. Rourke goes to Hatcher.
How did I get that?
Hatcher at the 40, and eventually is taken down. Alexander came in to finish him off, and that'll bring up third down and about 2.5 yards. Another 2-and-out. BC didn't have a 2-and-out last week against Calgary, and they've got 4 today.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some that are saying, you know, why would that route be 2 yards short when you need basically 10 for a first down? Well, the DB will play right at the 10-yard mark.
Clintoff kicks it away to Grant. Already has one in this game. Grant trying to stay on his feet. BC this time smothers him after a 42-yard kick. And Zach Collaros and the Bombers on top, 25-13. We'll have the ball when we return to IG Field. No other way to spin it right now. BC Lions defense needs to step up and stop the run here, Glenn.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ways. I mean, first of all, gap cancellation so your linebackers can scrape. You got to take on double teams. But Ryan Phillips could also go with some run kind of stopping blitzes. So blitz every gap. Again, that puts you vulnerable in the back end.
They work from their own 32. Collaros fakes the handoff out to his right. And there's a flag on the play as the catch is made. And it's a hold against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Holding, Winnipeg number 68. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's Jeff Gray, the left guard, and Jeff Gray is again, another fantastic season. Sorry, I think he's on the inside here. Another fantastic season. And apparently the best cook on the team.
That's what they said, yeah. He likes to have everybody over, make the big meals for the team. I don't know how grocery bills like.
Quite a few courses when it's the line.
Collaros, first and 20. Out to
especially from Rasheed Bailey again for right at the point of attack. Oliveira doesn't even get started on this play, but again, I think he's one of the best receivers. Doesn't get enough credit for it in the league, but watch 88 come back and get Rukamba, make sure he doesn't catch him, and be able to outflank him. But you're right, without that Edwards Cooper tackle, big game.
2nd and 14. 3 options out to the right for Collaros. Looks that way, throws that way. Tackle made immediately as he found Shode. It was Edwards Cooper right there as well, and that'll bring up 3rd down and a kicking situation for the Bombers.
Yeah, it's a straight curl route, and this time, you know, if you get a team even as good as this Bomber team in 2nd and long, you got a chance. Again, the DB will sit right at 10 yards there waiting. Receiver's going to turn his curl right in front of him, and that's why he's 2 yards short.
Keon Hatcher back to return now with Williams out after the heavy hit from Miller. Takes it cleanly, 48-yard kick, and not a bad return. Straight back up the middle, just outside the 35, and Farhan Lalji have a little bit more on Keon Hatcher when we return to Winnipeg. Well, he's been great all season, and he was excellent last week. For more on Keon Hatcher, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, guys, coaches often say the best ability is availability. In Keon Hatcher's case, the best ability is versatility. He's a guy that started the season as the field side wide receiver. They don't get a lot of action, but then as Brian Burnham and Lucky Whitehead suffered injuries over the course of the year, they missed 13 games combined. He plug and played in both of their spots. As a result, finished 2nd on the team in receiving. He said that his coach at Arkansas, his receiver coach, told him, don't learn how to memorize plays. Learn how to conceptualize plays. What is the play trying to accomplish? What's everybody's role in that? He took that to heart, and he's always had that one trait, versatility. He hopes eventually to become a coach, and he can bring all of that knowledge into his coaching.
Just his 2nd year in the Canadian Football League. He's got a pretty bright future in this league. Big impact this year, 1,000-yard season. Flag against the Lions.
Now you can see a little bit of frustration.
BC number 54. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
You know, and for the Bombers, this is why you fight and battle for home field advantage in the playoffs. It worked for the BC Lions in the semifinal, and it's working for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the final. You fight all regular season, 18 games, to get home field and play a playoff game in front of your home fans so you can get a few calls like that. It all helps.
Near side, Burnham misses him. That'll fall incomplete.
It just starts to get under your skin. You just start up. You're trying to block it out. You're trying to communicate with teammates as the opposition, and especially offensively, and the crowd is just making it impossible to communicate. It's silent count, so when Nathan Rourke waves towards the line of scrimmage, he'll either lift up his heel or he'll wave his hands. There's the hands, there's the heel, and now the ball can be snapped at any time.
2nd and 15. Deep drop. Now he steps up, nowhere to go. Far side. Coming back to the ball is Hatcher trying to push ahead. And look at that forward progress. We'll see. He thought he was a little bit further up the field, but they're going to mark him about a yard shy.
Well, here's the intended target. That's Hatcher out here, but it takes a while to get him there. He drops back. Nathan Rourke steps up in the pocket. Great pocket presence. And then on the run across his body, gets it out to number 4, who struggles to get to about a yard away.
That's what they look at right now. It's what they're facing. 3rd and 1. Pipkin into the game. Slides up under center. Got to get to the 46. Pushing ahead. Oh, boy. This is going to be awfully close.
It's the other advantage when you're the home team is in short yardage. Because Rick Campbell's short yardage offense now They're going to measure this, I think. His short yardage offense usually has the snap count as their advantage. I don't think he likes the spot from where he sees it. They're going to bring the chains out.
It's almost right on our line, and that's not a first down. I mean, they can measure this, but that'll be a turnover on downs if that's where that ball is spotted. Looks like they needed the 46.
Didn't get it.
Crowd here loves it. Turnover on downs just outside their own 45.
Take another look at it and take a look and see if they got the spot, and that's why Rick Campbell tough to tell from the side angle. We do have a reverse camera in the playoffs. Let's take a look nice and low here.
Tough spot, that's for sure.
And impossible to challenge.
Bombers get the ball back here in juicy field position. And a short pickup on first down for Oliveira. You're the BC defense here. You'd love to hold them to a field goal. If not, push him back here a little bit.
Well, this is a big down.
Away.
Yeah, this is a big down right here. And Ryan Phillips. His early alignment looks like he's going with four-man pressure. Buck Pierce taking a quick look at that secondary. Keep Zach in the pocket.
2nd and 8 for the Bombers. Less than a minute to go in the third quarter. Polaris near side, going down and getting it with Dembski. Slid underneath it. First down, Winnipeg.
This pitch is low and away by design from Zach Collaros, knowing that Dembski can make the adjustment. But he gets the out. The offensive coordinator knew the importance of that one because now it's in field goal range.
Just a quick little fist bump, eh? About as much emotion as you're going to see during the game there.
Well, because there's still a lot of work to do.
Another quarter looms. These two teams combined are 21-0 when leading after 3 quarters. They haven't let any slip away. Oliveira right up the middle. Oliveira down inside the 15, still going. Inside the 10 before they stop him. That'll put him over 100 yards on the game. Story of the game right there. Number 20 in blue, Brady Oliveira, having himself a phenomenal West Final. His offensive coordinator loves it. 3 quarters in the books. Well, as we get set to enter the fourth quarter, the Bombers on top 25-13, 134 yards on the ground, 111 of them coming from Brady Oliveira, and just 16 rushing yards on the other side for the Lions.
Yeah, you sort of get the feeling when you look at the rush yard totals there, Dustin, that the BC Lions are going to have to lean on Nathan Rourke down the field to Dominic Grimes and his receiving core. They just can't seem to get any traction on the run. On the other side, a couple of key downs right here. That was a big run from Brady Oliveira. Get him down on the doorstep, and now the Lions have got to try and damage control here and just see if they can hold them to a field goal attempt.
Oliveira had 2 100-yard games during the regular season. Now he's got one in the West Final. And I don't think they're done with Brady Oliveira just yet. 16 carries already. And Polaris calls a timeout.
Timeout, Winnipeg.
Avoids taking that time count violation.
go back to that last run from Brady Oliveira. I just want to show you some great blocks here. Jeff Gray, remember, he got that penalty. Watch the down block here. We talked about Stanley Bryant. He gets the kick-out block on David Menard. So they open up that run lane. Little help from Nick Dembski, but just with one arm. Big number 66 at left tackle, Stanley Bryant, holds off David Menard, the defensive end, to give Brady Oliveira a seam.
There's a reason this offensive line is just littered with all-stars. I mean, they've done an excellent job during this entire stretch over the last 3 seasons.
Could you please reset the clock to 14:41?
Stanley Bryant is the only player ever to win 3 most outstanding lineman awards, and he's got himself in the mix for a 4th.
With Brandon Revenberg out of the East, but and I think it's a rule, written or unwritten, that they don't wear sleeves in November.
I think it's ridiculous.
Keep your arms warm.
Collaros pitches it out to Oliveira. Inside the 10, down to the 5, still going. Flag on the play. And it's coming back.
All those runs up the middle between the tackles for Brady Oliveira.
Holding. Winnipeg number 10. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
I love the call from Buck Pierce. Nick Dembski, not sure about the holding. Love the play call, though, in the same looking action by Zach Collaros. There's Dembski there. Just thought that he turned around Lucas Purefoy. Purefoy wasn't sure where Brady Oliveira was.
First and goal now from the 19. Collaros dumps it off. Oliveira has his hands on it again. Down inside the 10, and he'll be taken down right back where they started this thing. And it'll be a second and goal from about the 9.
Yeah, he got the penalty yardage all back, and again, another well-executed play here. Bryant lets Menard go inside that time. He wants him to go inside because then he can't redirect to get to that little screen throw from Zach Collaros.
Got back the 10 they lost in the hold prior. Second and goal from the BC 9. Collaros, 14 of 18, buck 78, touchdown, and an interception. That interception came in the end zone earlier tonight. Goes to the end zone again for Dembski. Batted away. What a play! Gary Peters says, "Get that out of here," and it'll bring up third down.
Zach Collaros took a hit too as he delivered this throw to Dembski, again trying to get the corner. He's saying he got hit in the head. No flag on the field. Gary Peters just flashes that hand, doesn't he?
Where did he come from, hey?
I'm not even sure he saw the ball. He just kind of reached out as he was running across and got a piece of it. Watch the hit on Zach Collaros as he's throwing. It's Menard around the corner and Matthew Betts. Betts makes a hit. But important stop for the Lions. They had to have it.
They did have to have this. Leggio, 17-yard attempt, and he puts that one through. Winnipeg on top, 28-13. Lions got to get it going now. I'll say it.
It's fun.
It's a catchy song. Yeah, that's a catchy too. Coming to a Grey Cup near you. 13 minutes remaining in this game. Warren still looking for his best here. Goes to his running back Butler, and it's incomplete again. Big Hill on his back. Butler's been targeted 5 times so far tonight.
Real good coverage on the back end, and there was just 4-man pressure here. Go ahead and run it, guys. I'm going to show you 3 receivers to our side, this low side of the field. Okay, stop it right there. Covered. This guy's going to jump it downhill, and Nathan Rourke says, I got no target. I got to dump it off underneath, and misses Butler outside.
Just 1 first down in the second half for the Lions. Rourke gets it away, looking for Rhymes through his hands, incomplete. Dietrich Nichols on his back.
Well, just a great block by James Butler to pick up the blitz to allow Rourke to even throw it. And then this guy has been money on these deep throws all season long. Tough was this. He got it, went right through his hands. Looked like Dietrich Nichols might have had a little bit to do with it.
That left arm,
Left arm up there, yep.
Flintoff gets it away. And Grant will grab it as he runs out of bounds just outside the 35. A chance for the Bombers and that man, Zach Collaros, to possibly seal it away next. They are having a party tonight at IG Field.
Good job, Bomber fans. Love to see it all year. They stepped up for the West Final. Outstanding.
Love what they're seeing so far. Their Bombers on top by 15. Back to Oliveira again. Gets around Purifoy and runs it ahead. Story of the game right there.
Well, you know, Luchez Purifoy is a great tackler in the open field. That's one of the reasons he moved back to that safety spot. But this is just second effort from Brady Oliveira. I mean, he's caught right at the line of scrimmage here. Don't give up. Keep hopping. Put the hand down. Keep fighting and fall forward.
Not an
Remind
easy
you of
6
anybody?
yards.
Does he remind you of anybody?
Reminds me of a guy I watched earlier today. I'll say that.
A guy who used to play here?
Yeah, that guy. The Bombers can finish this off. The storylines with Harris involved, quite something for next week. BC still has over 11 minutes, but they got to get a stop here. Brukop into the game. He's going to keep it. Turns it upfield. First down, still going. Kicks it down into BC territory before he's eventually taken down just shy of the Lion 50.
Okay, so now you got the fake and Prukop around the edge. We've seen it. This is a progression of the play calling for Buck Pierce to fake it to Oliveira. That draws in enough attention to get you on the edge, but the Lions aren't wrapping up. They got to bend their knees, wrap up, and when they make contact, look at this, bouncing off them, not wrapping up. That's a couple in a row for Luchez Purifoy. He's a good tackler. Just got to remember to bring the arms with you.
16 yards for Brukop. Back on the sidelines watching Zach Collaros. Oliveira again. And it didn't look like much, but that's still about 2 or 3 yards, pretty much untouched before he's taken down.
It took 4 of them.
Yeah.
It took 4 BC Lions tacklers to get him down.
Josh Banks trying to stretch it out down on the field.
Well, the trainers came out, so he'll have to go out for 3 plays.
Banks in the interior of that BC Lions defense having issues today stopping Brady Oliveira.
Well, the other thing is, you know, Matthew Betts had a great season. He defensive end up front for the BC Lions. You know, he weighs 250 pounds. Stanley Bryant is at 315, and that's what it says in the program, and I question that. I'm going to add 20.
That's probably fair. And Jamarcus Hardrick on the other side, he's heavier.
Yeah, 320. You know, and it's just sometimes just big on big, the bigger guy wins, and I know Lion is doing the job right now. I mean, David Menard is 255. Sione Tahema is 250. You know, great in the passing game, but when you're road grading up front, you got to try and keep those big guys off of your linebackers, and the Lions have struggled in this second half to get it done.
This is a big play right here. 2nd and 8 on the BC 50. Collaros, pressure up the middle, out on the run to his right. Hit as he throws it away. It was Jordan Williams. And we haven't seen Zach get out to his right very often tonight, and certainly they can make some plays there, but BC's defense gets a much needed pressure.
Zach Collaros was a little slow to get up there, wasn't he? Gary Peters was in front of that throw, so Zach Collaros is throwing it to the ground to just throw it away and save the loss.
They do force a punt. Leggio stands just inside his own 50. Keon Hatcher watches it bounce. Miller is there to wrap him up after a 45-yard kick with 9:22 on the clock and not great field position. Nathan Rourke, it's pretty much now or never for the kid.
Well, with 9 minutes in Canadian football, there's going to be a few more possessions. But, yeah, he's got to get this out of the hole. He's got to look at points, got to get it down the field and do it quickly. And, you know, when you think about the defense for the BC Lions, I talked that they're a little undersized compared to the O-line for Winnipeg. They have actually done their job. Remember, 7 of the 28 points came on a Janarian Grant return for a touchdown. So they've kept them in the game with a chance to come back. But you're right, Rourke's got to get her done now.
Rourke's against 32,000 fans here at IG Field. Down the field for Hatcher. Hangs on. Went back and got it, working against Desmond Lawrence, and that is exactly what the Lions needed.
Almost a throw behind and maybe a little bit of wind picking up too that Rourke is trying to measure here, but he does get it up into the outside where Hatcher has a chance to come back to it, and it's a 29-yard gain to get him started.
Challenge flag from the Bombers here. Looking at the offensive pass interference, I believe.
Winnipeg is challenging that there was offensive pass interference on the play. We'll review the play.
Mike O'Shea,
50% on the season on these challenges. We'll see.
that's a tough one. Halftime show at the 109th Grey Cup a week from today in Regina. Tyler Hubbard, Jordan Davis, and Josh Ross set to entertain you at Mosaic.
I believe Josh Ross played at Western, who will play to get to the venue.
Insert Dwayne Ford comment somewhere here.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Winnipeg will be charged a timeout.
You can't have that being an offensive pass interference, can you?
Well, I thought they were both kind of measuring each other out. Like, this is what DB and receiver do. They kind of, they got their hands on each other on the arm or on the shoulder pad or the hip just to kind of measure where you are. I didn't think that was a push-off either.
First and 10 for the BC 42 for Rourke. Down the field again for Hatcher. He hung on to that. Are you kidding me, Keon Hatcher? That'll take him over 100 yards in spectacular fashion. Fucking go!
This is a cover 2 man, which is basically man-to-man with 2 guys over the top, so it turns into a double team. Nathan Rourke stays in the pocket long here and strong, but look at the coverage that he throws into. He has Brandon Alexander over the top, Diedrich Nichols underneath. That turns into the double team, and Hatcher comes up with it.
A ridiculous 30-yard catch for Keon Hatcher. He's on 117 back-to-back big games in the postseason. Rourke, first and 10 for the BC 38. Near side, and that's through the hands of Catoy, working against Jamal Parker. And that'll bring up second and 10 just inside the 40.
Boy, even if you haven't been targeted, you got to keep your mind in it. That's one that Javon Catoy really should have had. I mean, Rourke puts it out there, and I think Catoy takes a peek to turn the corner here, but it just goes right through his arms. I mean, that gets him set up in a second and medium or second and short. Now it plays to the Bomber defensive side.
Crowd at IG Field on their feet. Rourke in trouble, trying to
assignments. They stay in their lanes. And you just start to, you get frustrated offensively going against it. I mean, even when you make a couple of big plays, and the Lions just did, they just keep with it, and they keep discipline in their pass rush lanes. Jeff Coat goes all the way around to put the horn to get there.
3rd and 18 on the 46. Sean White nowhere to be seen. They're going to leave the offense on the field instead. Down 15, you got it. Cork. Down the field for Rhymes. Intercepted. Desmond Lawrence in coverage picks it off. But there's a flag back at the 50. Willie Jefferson says it's against the Lions.
Illegal block, hands to the face. BC number 51. Now the penalty is declined. The result of the play is an interception.
Well, when you take a look at this play, first of all, Nathan Rourke basically throwing it into coverage, saying that, if Rhymes comes up with it somehow, yeah, okay, you get another shot, but if not, it's like a punt. At the other end, there's the holding on Thomas. And again, I don't think there's any pass interference there either, and that's the other reason to throw it up like that for Rourke, is to possibly draw a PI call, but that was very similar to the challenge that Mike O'Shea didn't get.
3rd career interception for Desmond Lawrence, playing in just his 2nd game with the Bombers.
Dembski got the wrong snap count.
Winnipeg number 10. 5-yard penalty. Timer, I'm going to hold the clock.
Big hug there from Jamarcus Hardwick to say, that's all right.
You've done enough.
Yeah, you got to work for another 6 minutes, but we'll let that one slide.
Zach Collaros, 178 yards passing, 14 of 20. A touchdown and an interception. Brady Oliveira, the star of the game, 119 yards on 18 carries. Dedicated to the ground attack today have been the Bombers. Right up the middle again on 1st and 15. And Oliveira with a pretty good pickup.
Again, we've seen so many times this year, in fact, over 60% of the games in the Canadian Football League decided in the last 3 minutes. We're still at 2 possessions. Neither of these teams can relax at this point.
I saw the ball so well. I'm with you.
Again, that throw from Rourke, looking for either a PI call, a miraculous catch from Rhymes, or it's as good as a punt. Now see if their defense can get the stop, but
2nd and 8. 3 options out to the right for Zach. Looks to his left first. Flag on the play as he's wrapped up and taken down. But it's a hold against the Bombers.
So the Lions will decline that, get the ball back.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. A limp for Collaros.
Holding.
As he
Winnipeg
heads
number
off
66.
the field.
That penalty is declined. It'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, that does not look good. Is this Tehema?
Sione Tehema.
Oh, yeah. Like the right leg kind of twisted as it went down. He grabbed it immediately.
Well, he's got a pretty good limp on the sideline right now as well. Monitor that situation as Leggio kicks us away. Hatcher takes it just inside the 45, a 47-yard kick, stays on his feet, takes it back onto the Bombers side of the field, and pretty good field position here for the BC Lions.
Well, this is a big part of this story now. I mean, Zach Collaros took another angle at it. It's just right there where it just didn't, that right leg didn't pop out of the turf.
It looks like the foot got stuck under the leg.
Got stuck in the turf there, it got twisted, and he grabbed the knee immediately.
Grimace on the face of Kolaris. As Rourke takes over. 4.5 to play. Down 15. In behind the intended target, it's Katoy. And that'll be 2nd and 10 for BC.
Couple to Katoy that just haven't made that connection.
Lions are 2 for 15 on 2nd down so far here tonight. Working from the Winnipeg 47. 4 options out to the left here for Rourke. Pressure coming from the Bombers. Rourke gets it away in time. Has Burnham wide open for a first down. Takes it inside the 25 with 4 minutes on the clock.
It was pressure. You're bang on right, Dustin, and it was Big Hill that he's going to come up from his linebacker spot. Again, free little twist to get Willie Jefferson inside, and the O-line held in there for the Lions.
Rourke barking out instructions to the crowd at IG Field in his face. Dumps it off to Butler, his running back. Butler turns it upfield, takes it down inside the 15. And that's the biggest play of the game from Butler, who's been pretty much contained the entire night.
Yeah, and the first time on one of the checkdowns that I think Nathan Rourke just took a little heat off. They've had trouble connecting on these checkdowns tonight because of the heat on the ball from a little too much on it on those little checkdowns. Not that time. Got it to him.
They need 3 more to keep this drive alive.
Here they come.
Pressure right up the middle. Rourke has it batted down at the line.
Yeah, you could see that coming.
Nothing was being disguised there. The Bombers said, "We're coming to get you." And Rourke got it away just in time, but it'll bring up a 3rd and 3 as we're inside 3 minutes of the West Final in Winnipeg. Let's get a quick update on Zach Kolaris for that down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, I think Zach Kolaris is going to finish this football game. He went and spoke to the trainers after, then got his right ankle taped. It looked like he rolled it in a little bit. The other 2 quarterbacks got warmed up, but Zach has been throwing. I fully expect him to go back in.
Thank you, Farhan. The Lions need 3 here from the Winnipeg 14. Rourke gets it away just in time. Hollins touchdown. The BC Lions stay alive. Alexander Hollins with his 2nd touchdown of the postseason. 2:43 on the clock. And BC has life.
Well, it hasn't always been smooth for number 12 and Nathan Rourke here in this game tonight. He's had his challenges, slow start, but he is right back in it. 1 possession game, convert pending, and throws a strike on that curl. Just keeps adding to the story. Got to take the single here, higher percentage, cuts it to 1 possession game.
Sean White knocks it home, and it is 28-20. Bombers on top. 2:43 remaining after a 5-play, 47-yard drive. Finished off by this.
Game on the line. 3rd down and 3. And a strike from number 12, who bounces back in this game.
Just in time, too. You see Jeffcoat was getting there.
Well, he was standing tall in the pocket on a couple of the throws on that last series, and you heard his head coach coming in at halftime. We'll see how Zach does. You know, their run game's been going well. That's the good news for the Bombers, especially on 1st down, getting into manageable, but looks like Zach's going to come in, as Farhan mentioned.
Kick it deep to Janarian Grant.
Absolutely.
You got to try to play that field position game, right?
Well, I'm not sure to Grant, but I'm kicking it deep.
Evan Holm is the other guy over there.
And nothing against Holm. I'm just maybe not kicking it to number 80.
Sean White to kick it away, and they do kick it to Grant. He takes it just inside the 25. Janarian Grant right up the middle, a good burst. And he takes it outside the 45, so pretty good field position. As Zach Kolaris can't do it.
I don't know.
He tried to. He can't. Drew Brown is into the game. Zach looked like he was going to come in, and he just simply couldn't do it. Drew Brown was waiting and ran in right behind him.
Drew Brown did get the start against the BC Lions in their second to last game of the regular season. This has some live action, threw for over 300 yards, but also threw a couple of picks. Now, you can guarantee 20 is going to be involved in this series.
They'll give it to Dembski. Dembski turns it up the field.
Huge.
First down.
Huge.
Takes it almost all the way down to the BC 50. And number 10 is fired up.
That is huge. Just the left side of the offensive line just collapsing down like this. And Dembski comes around and just takes it in behind that left side. I mean, this is just a wall. And Drew Brown may be able to hand it off 3 or 4 times to wrap this game up.
Over 170 yards rushing as a team tonight for the Bombers. Brown in the game with Collaros on the sideline. Gives it to Oliveira. Runs behind his offensive line for about 3 or 4 on first down.
Well, the Lions cannot give up an inch now. I mean, this is...
Timeout. BC.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go over there and talk about it, make sure they've got it right, because a first down here is basically field goal range. And if the lead holds, the story becomes number 8 in a hurry.
Big time. Not being able to come back in, got that right ankle retaped, and you saw he's pointing right now to where the issue is. Looked like he pointed to the outside of his right ankle. BC Lions having to run Lecombo out there right before this ball be snapped. Brukop into the game. He's going to keep it pushing ahead, and he's going to be stopped short by a couple of yards. With just over 2 minutes remaining, this is a huge decision. This is about 3 yards shy. So Leggio will come out. And he's missed. I think they're going to punt this away. Leggio's setting up as though he's going to punt this away. So Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions should have a chance here with 2 minutes remaining. Leggio would have been a long field goal attempt. Missed a couple of extra points. One of them was returned for 2 huge points right now. As we've got an 8-point game. Hatcher back there as Leggio lets it fly. Hatcher takes it just inside the 5. Hatcher to the far side of the field, forced out of bounds. And with 95 seconds on the clock, it comes down to this for Nathan Rourke and the Lions.
They called him in college the Canadian Cannon.
Gonna need a few darts here on this drive.
95 seconds, which is time. Tremendous receiving core led by Dominique Grimes, number 19.
95 seconds to go, 96 yards.
Giving after him.
Rourke with pressure in his face. They get home and take him down. Alden Darby untouched to the quarterback. And the Bombers start this drive with a boom defensively.
Yeah, it's a linebacker blitz with Alden Darby and chances from Catoy in this second half, but he makes up for it there, giving his team and his teammates a chance, giving Rourke with 3rd and 3 a chance to keep the drive alive and the season.
Gotta have 2 yards here. Rourke, pressure coming, takes off, he's gonna pick it up on the ground. Tracked down from behind by Jeffcoat, but not before he keeps the season alive.
Had to get in and out of the huddle. They're not even get on the line of scrimmage.
12 yards on the ground for number 12. Up to the BC 34. Clock ticks inside 45.
Feels like Adam Big Hill time.
Everybody out to the left for Rourke. Pressure coming from Darby again. Has a man. It's Catoy taken down at the 40 after a pickup of 6.
A couple of times in a row now, Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator, has gone with pressure from Adam Big Hill up the middle, and that's why Rourke hit that crossing route. If Big Hill's going to leave the middle of the field, he's going to try and go after that. The clock is the enemy now, though. He's got to push the ball and get a chunk.
Clock ticking down.
They can't communicate the play, and they've lost about 15 seconds.
And only 5 to snap. Disaster here for the Lions as the clock ticks away. Rourke over the middle has Hatcher, but just 7 seconds on the clock. Too much time and confusion.
Well, it was just communication. It was straight communication. The IG Field crowd made it impossible for Rourke to get the instructions to his team. That ate up almost 20 seconds.
A huge 20 seconds, and it'll all come down to this. The Bombers have backed everybody up, looking to keep the chance of a three-peat alive. Rourke tosses it to Burnham. Burnham at the 35, flips it back. Hollins waiting. Throws it back again to Rhymes this time. Rhymes waiting. Flags on the play against the BC Lions, and that's going to do it. The drive to a dynasty stays alive for the Bombers as they seal away a 28-20 victory over the BC Lions in the West Final.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers controlled the line of scrimmage on offense. The story this week now becomes number 8 and his health. But it was the run game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that gave them the advantage, gave them the edge in the second half. Nathan Rourke, the miraculous comeback falls short, right about midfield.
Rourke finishes with 289 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Certainly had some trouble dealing with the hostile crowd here at IG Field. But for a BC Lions team that had 10 second-year starters, a learning experience here against the back-to-back champs.
Yeah, and I got to emphasize again that 20 seconds that were lost. I mean, you know, you could say Rourke, being so young in his first Western final, wasn't managing. I don't think that had anything to do with it. Nathan Rourke was looking at the clock and trying to communicate to all his receivers in that bunch, and he couldn't get it to them. It's no good to snap the ball when they don't know, you know, what direction to run in, what routes to run, and all that. So, I mean, it was the crowd here that made it impossible to communicate at the end. It cost them 20 seconds and a chance for that miraculous comeback. But take nothing away from the Bombers. They won the line of scrimmage on offense. They ran the ball successfully. Over 100 yards rushing for Brady Oliveira.
173 yards total on the ground for the Bombers here tonight. Let's get to your Advil dual action play of the game, and this was a big one.
Well, it was Janarian Grant who had fumbled in the first quarter of this football game, giving the BC Lions really good field position, and he makes up for it in a big, big way. And that's what great players do. That's what champions do. And now the Toronto Argonauts will see if they can knock off the defending champs, or can the Bombers make it the three-peat?
That was his 4th return touchdown of the season. A true game breaker for the Bombers as special teams comes up big. Defensively, they were great. And offensively, on the ground, excellent. All 3 facets of the game, the Bombers, perfect again.
Yeah, and you know what? I think they're just from top to bottom, all 3 phases, so disciplined in what they do. And Richie Hall changing things up in that 4th quarter to get more pressure on Rourke. Willie Jefferson made his plays. Again, their leadership group with Adam Bighill leading the way.
Brady Oliveira, 130 yards so far here tonight. He is with our Farhan Lalji.
Brady, we talked at halftime just about your role in all of this. They committed you throughout this game. Just talk about 130 yards and being able to have success running the ball in these conditions.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great week of preparation. I mean, we talk every single week about going 1-0, taking care of our business, handling our business, and going out here and executing our plays. The boys up front did a tremendous job tonight. All 3 phases played amazing. Back in the nation. Let's go. And we're able to get it done, but we got one more game, and that's the one that we want, so we got to keep this going.
What's it say when they know you're going to run and you can still run?
Just how hungry we are. This O-line, I mean, they know we're going to run the ball, and we just kept pounding them all game. And like that. Let's go. It felt good. I just want to go out there and honor my teammates. You know, we put so much work into this, and we earned our right to play in the Grey Cup next week.
And you're going to be playing against one of your former mentors in Andrew Harris. You know that's going to be a big storyline. You've certainly lived up to your end of it this season. What's it going to be like to face him?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be, you know, cool to see him, you know, throughout the week probably. And, you know, I learned lots from him. You know, he's one of the greatest to ever play in this league and one of the greatest Canadians at the running back position. He taught me lots. It's going to be cool to go up against him and battle it out for the Grey Cup.
Thanks for this. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What an excellent game for Brady Oliveira. His best of the season at just the most critical moment. An outstanding game, setting the stage for, I mean, a lot of storylines as we work our way towards the Grey Cup. Bombers and Argos. Zach Collaros with a limp. That'll be storyline number 1.
Yes,
heading towards next week.
Yeah, well, congratulations to the Bombers and to the Argos. We will head to Regina for that outstanding matchup. 2 great defenses, both physical teams.
Let's send it down to Farhan for the trophy presentation.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the presentation of the West Division Trophy. I'm not sure if these guys are going to touch it, but this is kind of Groundhog Day here in Winnipeg. We get here in November, the snow comes, and this is what we do. We present the trophy to Coach Mike O'Shea, Zach Collaros, Adam Bighill, this offensive line, and the rest of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 2022 West Division champions. Doesn't look like anyone's going to touch it. We're waiting for Zach Collaros if he can make his way up here.
We good. We just ready to say thank you. Let's go. Zach, we got him to talk.
Yoshi Hardrick in the offensive line, they're just ready to pick this up and go. No, you got another game to play.
Got one more week, baby.
Here we go, Zach. Zach, congratulations on getting back here again. First of all, you got dinged up at the end. Tell us how the ankle is.
We're good. Just camera on everybody here, man. Total team effort. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
And it really was that. I mean, you got to the passing game going early. You had that shot to Nick Dembski, but then after that, you leaned on the run game, got a special teams touchdown, got some turnovers. How much of a team effort was this?
That's what we're all about. It was lights out all night. Defense was lights out all night. Special teams carrying us, man. Offensively, I think we had an 8-play drive for a touchdown, man. All runs, man. Shit was awesome. Let's fucking go.
Look ahead to next week. I know you're going to celebrate this first, but a chance to go for your 3rd straight Grey Cup.
It's another game, man. Let's go do it.
Thanks for this. Adam Bighill, the defense stopped a pretty potent offense throughout this afternoon, and you did it a lot of different ways. The secondary played a part with some interceptions. You got pressure. Just talk about this defensive performance.
I mean, when it came down to every play, every man hit their bullseye tonight. I mean, they didn't have a lot of open things. Everything was contested. We were right where we were supposed to be. We put pressure on them, man. I love these guys. Great defense.
next week in Regina where you're going to face a guy you know really well in Andrew Harris. What's that going to be like?
It's going to be fun. I've competed against Andrew before. We're going to do it again. He's a great player. But we're a great team. We're going to bring it out to SAS next week, and we're going to go do our thing.
Adam, thanks for this. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers back to the Grey Cup once again. They won it in 19, they won it in 21, and they'll be the favorite going in again.
They'll be the favorite, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers earned home field advantage in the Western Final, and that home field advantage paid dividends in a big, big way in this game tonight. But this team has earned the right to go back and do what not many teams have done in any sport ever, which is win 3 straight championships. They'll have to beat the Argos to do it. The story will be number 8. But congratulations to the Bombers and their fantastic fan base.
A sensational atmosphere tonight at IG Field. Well over 30,000 here to cheer their Bombers on to a 3rd consecutive West Division championship, and they did it in style. Brady Oliveira, 130 yards on the ground. Zach Collaros, that man right there, 14 of 20 through the air, gutting it out to the very end. Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions back to the drawing board, but a bright future for themselves as well. The Argos now know who they will face in the Grey Cup next Sunday, and it will be the back-to-back Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers as the thrill of a three-peat remains possible for the defending champs. Good night from IG Field.
Welcome to SportsCenter. Canada's men's soccer team has announced its 26-man roster for the FIFA World Cup. Their tournament will begin in just 10 days when they take on Belgium. We'll have plenty more on who was included in the squad coming up in just a bit. But first, we'll say hello, everyone, and welcome inside SportsCenter. I'm Glenn Sheeler on another jam-packed Sunday in the sports world, and we now know which teams have punched their ticket to next weekend's Grey Cup in Regina. As you just witnessed, the 2-time defending Grey Cup champion Blue Bombers are going back to the dance after another huge playoff win. The three-peat dream, it is still alive and well for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's the West Final between BC and Winnipeg. We've got sub-zero temperatures with a bit of light snow as well for this one. Zach Collaros has not lost a playoff game with the Bombers in his career. First quarter, here's Collaros finding Dalton Schoen for the opening touchdown. The 2-time defending champs trying to become the first team to three-peat since Edmonton in the 1980s. Winnipeg receiving the punt a little bit later. And Janarian Grant, he will misplay that rolling football. Goes between his legs. The Lions recover close to the end zone and would score on that next drive. Second quarter, it's Grant looking to redeem himself.
Grant, far side of the field, looking for a little bit of room. He's got it, stays on his feet, now he'll take it down to midfield. Janarian Grant on the near side. He'll take it down inside the 40, gets around, flicked off. Grant's going to take it to the 20, to the 10. He's done it again. Not a flag in sight. Janarian Grant takes it to the house.
A 92-yard punt return for Grant, who manages to weave through traffic for that impressive run. Talk about a huge play on a huge day. His 3rd return score against the Lions this season. So BC looking for something from Canadian Nathan Rourke, who threw for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first career playoff start last week. Still in the second. Rourke with his pass, but this will be intercepted by Winston Rose. Rourke, 7 of 17 in the first half for just 87 yards through the air as BC was down by 9 at halftime. We know Rourke completed almost 80% of his passes this year in the CFL. Third quarter, now an 8-point game. Bombers running the QB sneak, and Dakota Prokop punches it in. Since 2014, the home team has won the divisional title 13 of 15 times. And yes, a crushing defeat for Nathan Rourke and the Lions. Rourke with his breakout season, but It just wasn't to be here in the playoffs against the Bombers. It's an 8-point victory for Winnipeg. Since 2014, home teams in division finals have won 14 of the 16 games. That's an .875 win percentage. So earlier in the day, we saw the Toronto Argonauts with a 34-27 win over the Alouettes. Andrew Harris has now scored 4 touchdowns in his last 4 playoff games. So what a return to the field for Andrew Harris. And here is the Grey Cup matchup. It's all set. Argos, Bombers. Now, until their back-to-back championships, Winnipeg had not won the league's ultimate prize since all the way back in 1990. Now looking for the three-peat. And to set it up for us and take a look back at today, here's Kate in the panel.
Alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel, and yes, we finally know who will be in the 109th Grey Cup. It will be the Toronto Argonauts taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And let us start with the Western final between the Bombers and the Lions. And the Lions really with a shot at that end of the game. Obviously, there's a little bit of concern around Zach Collaros right now, but overall for the Bombers, once again, a tremendous game in all 3 phases. Offense, defense, special teams. But in the second half, Milt, it really was Brady Oliveira who took over, ends up with 130 yards on the day.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 3rd straight season been in the Grey Cup. That's a heck of an accomplishment, and it started, like you all talked about, all 3 phases of the game. Defense, special teams, of course, Janarian Grant, 3rd time returning the punt for a touchdown against his BC Lions. But the player of the game has to be Brady Oliveira. And we always talk, especially early in the season, how would they do without Andrew Harris? Well, Brady Oliveira stepping has done a great job, but this is one of his better games I've seen him play. 167 yards from the line of scrimmage, and that's impressive because we know how difficult it is running the ball when the opposing team know you're going to run the ball. He was able to do it, not only producing yards, but taking valuable time off that clock. And the BC Lions are going to question themselves because their last drive, they had an opportunity. They
had a shot.
But there was some bad clock management that they'll look back on and say, man, we didn't give ourselves a chance to possibly tie this game.
Yeah, and that's what caught me off guard, was how they handled that, or how it was mishandled. And just the lack of awareness when time is literally running off the clock. And they are still trying to game plan and get on the same page. And this is lights out. This is the end of the year. This is curtain call. This is last call. You've got to step up to the plate and deliver, and it just doesn't happen. It's hard to see because we saw Kid Canada and that offense do some incredible things when he was on the football field all season long. Yes, he was hampered out there on this football field, his lack of mobility, and he did not look like the same kid. And I credit the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yes, his injury and his foot will come into play there, guys, but at the end of the day, I look at this and I watch Zach Collaros. You and I talked about it, and watching this 3rd and 4th quarter play out, Zach was in there a little bit too long, and then we saw him get nicked. And I really think that Dakota Prukop is going to get a lot of reps and a package, much like we saw with Chris Streveler in 2019 next week. But anyway, this game here, fantastic, played out. The conditions became a factor, Davis, and congratulations to the Bombers.
You know, we'll talk about the end of the game for a quick second, but the reality is, the better team this year and today won the game. The Bombers had pretty much controlled this game for most of it. Tip of the cap to the BC Lions for a great season and everything they've accomplished. And they'll be facing this Toronto Argonauts team. And Macbeth, he's been polarizing. He's been the center of attention. He's the leader of this team, and well, that's Zach. But if we go back to his injury for a quick minute, that's what we're going to see probably right here. Yeah, look, Zach, this is something we're going to be talking about, obviously, beginning of the week until we find out. Matt, you said it. You know, we thought maybe at this point in the game, we knew they're going to run the ball, so why not run it with the quarterback who had success in Dakota Prukop in your RPO game? You have another, and add another body to your run game with the threat the quarterback was. So, we're not going to hindsight's 2020, but the reality is this is something they'll have to monitor and watch here as the week goes on.
Yeah, well, certainly, hopefully he is fine. I love that he did try. It obviously doesn't seem as serious. He got it spatted and then tried to get back on. But, of course, we will update you. And you know what? We need to get out of here. We need to go to Regina and enjoy these Grey Cup festivities as we send it back to SportsCenter.